I want to ask everyone, if you would, to please stand for our prayer to be followed by our pledge. And we are so grateful to have with us a friend to all of us, Reverend Clifton Marvel, who is with Macedonia Baptist Church and does so much in our community. And Reverend Marvel, thank you for being here to lead us in a word of prayer and bless us with your presence and kindness tonight.
Thank you. Good evening to the mayor and board, Aldermen, and all present. O eternal God, our Father, Grandmaster of the universe, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It is we, your people and your children, come to the throne of grace and the footstool of mercy once more with thanksgiving and appreciation for all that you've done for us. We thank you for the mayor and this board of city leaders. We pray in the name of Jesus that you would continue to bless them in a mighty way. Pray that you would grant a divine touch upon our visionary mayor, that he may continue to lead, guide in the right direction. Let's bring glory to your name, helpful to the citizenry of this city. Pray, oh God, that you would bless this city. Bless the city, we pray. We thank you for what you have done for us already. We thank you for what you're going to do for us. We give you the praise, glory, and honor forever. Ask that you would bless America.
Yes.
And bless the whole world, because everything belongs to you.
Amen.
Your word says the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and all that dwell therein. We just thank you again for this board. We give you the praise, the glory, and honor forever. And everybody said, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Reverend Marvel. If you would now, please join us in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. We'll ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderwoman Hall. Here. Alderman Frazier.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith. Alderwoman Irving.
Here.
Alderman Davis. Alderman Dillard.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. We are going to alter our order just a little bit this evening because we have so many here who have made their way here, and we don't want to hold you all night. First of all, though, I have a matter that is of a serious nature, and I'd like for this to become a part of the minutes, and we are going to make this presentation later in private. But it is a proclamation remembering the life of Dave H. Roscoe Kimbrough. Roscoe was a beloved radio personality in the Miss Lou area for years. And we want to just make sure that he is remembered and honored this evening. We have a proclamation honoring him, the fact that he was the youngest of 4 boys and born to Clifford Ray Kimbrough and Sarah Mildred Montgomery Kimbrough. He actually claimed his future very early in life. He knew that he wanted to be a DJ, and that is what he did. He started off at a very young age working at the local radio station, at that time WNAT, for the Perkins family. He went on to work in the Jackson market. I remember when he was on JDX, WTYX. He was at one time named DJ of the Year. Well, not just one time, several times. He did all kind of work in the area of commercials, television shows. He had that voice that will long be remembered. But better than that, he had that personality and that smile that will long be remembered. I know that in the past few years, he had enjoyed returning to his beloved hometown and also meeting and marrying the love of his life, Deanna. And he and Deanna, while their time together was short, it was truly blessed. He talked a lot about charitable events, about working in the community, doing things for CASA, for Relay for Life, for the Chamber of Commerce and others. But I really think that his favorite time was spent with Deanna on Lake St. John, and also his time spent with so many friends. I would go to the radio station quite often early in the morning. He would have already called me to wake me up at 6:30, and he had this way of saying, "Oh, Danny boy," and I will always remember his "Oh, Danny boy." And we get in there in the station, and Dustin, you remember those times, and some of these recorded now on posterity there on Facebook. But he truly had a way of lifting us all up, and we already miss him. And so we want to honor him on behalf of the city of Natchez, the mayor, the board of aldermen. We want to remember Roscoe tonight. And if you would, just join me in a moment of silence as we remember our beloved brother, Dave H. Roscoe Kimbrough. God, may you bless and comfort his family. In Christ's name, amen. Amen. Thank you. We have another presentation, and I'm going to ask Alderman Billy Joe Frazier, who's the chairman of our Public Utilities Committee, along with the other members of the board, to join me in making this presentation. We have a presentation to make here. I'm going to present this in just a minute, but before I do, I'd like to invite Alderman Frazier to say a few words on behalf of this gentleman and our appreciation for him.
I would like to say good evening to everyone here. The gentleman who will not make this presentation has been the most valuable person to the city of Natchez for many, many years. And we value his time here. At this time, we would like to make this presentation to none other than Mr. Tommy Roman. Person to the city of Natchez. And as of today, we have some of the best water in the house. We have one of the best waters. So at this time, I would like to let the mayor make this presentation. And Mr. Moon, again, I want to say thank you for what you did for the city of Natchez. And I thank you again for making you come back and help us out here. So thank you very much. Thank you all.
Well, we'll make this official. Key to the City, presented to Tony Moon. In recognition and appreciation of Tony Moon's outstanding contributions to the city of Natchez, we are honored to make this presentation. From 1993, when he was hired as assistant to the city engineer, 1993, that's a long time. He must have been a kid. He was tenure as superintendent of Waterworks 2015 to 2022. Mr. Moon exhibited leadership and motivational skills, which enabled him to be successful throughout his career at the city. His involvement with many infrastructure projects, including the Bridge of Sighs, the St. Catherine Trails project, and the Natchez Transit Building will long be remembered. In addition to many advances Mr. Moon oversaw during his leadership at Natchez Waterworks, have impacted upon our city in many ways. Of special note is his superb handling of the historic Natchez ice storm of 2021, when Natchez went from a historic loss of water pressure to being the first water department recertified for service by the Mississippi Department of Health in only 2 days. Tony Moon made his mark on the city of Natchez, and we're grateful for his years of service and his dedication to his work. Now therefore, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal to be affixed. And this is on behalf of the grateful city, the mayor and board of aldermen, and all your friends in the city. We appreciate it.
Well, wow, that's a lot, and yeah, 1993 was a while back. But we never get anywhere like, there's always things that help along the way. Had a lot of memories, over the years, and I'm so grateful for them, so grateful for the team I have worked with over the years. Like I said, nobody makes it alone, it's everybody working together. It's for you.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I will.
I would just like to say, coming to 2016, I've never been so many residents, when we were out, we wanted to increase in the water, they had no problem with it. But I want to thank you for over the years, because it's been over the years, the way you give great customer service to the residents of Natchez. They've been very appreciative of that. And I hope whoever replaces you in that area will do the same thing as well, because there's great news out there for a lot of positive things. So thank you. Thank you guys.
Thank you. The whole team, Waterworks, I was on with this year, so all the rest of us are there working hard. And so thank you for all.
All right, thank you so much. Enjoy retirement, and I know you were in good hands with Deputy Mayor.
Thank y'all so much. I want y'all to get on.
Okay, all right, we're going to stay here for just a moment because we have two officers we were about to oath. And we have to do this now because we're on the clock. And they have to get out there and start enforcing the law. We are very grateful that the city of Natchez just a month ago, we announced this at the State of the City event, that the city of Natchez received a $100,000 public safety award to the state of Mississippi, which allows us now to hire additional officers to do more of that old-fashioned policing. And so we're telling people to buckle up, to mind the speed limit, and to make sure you're not drinking and driving, because we are stepping up our presence here. We have some officers that have just been hired. Oh, pretty. I can't keep up with this, Chief. Chief Daughtry, would you please tell us who they are and what they're going to be doing?
Yes, sir. Mayor, we have tonight to join us, Officer Sean Brown. She's a certified UI officer and also a drug recognition, and also a narcotic investigator. We have Keyshawn, she's from, but then we have Officer Keyshawn Younger, where they've already named him the Young Buck. He's from Vicksburg. And dealing with the stuff that we've been dealing with for crime scenes, we now officially have a CSI for Natchez. Ms. Tucker is our new crime scene tech. She'll be more responding to crime scenes like you see on TV CSI. Natchez has their own. She can focus on so the detectives can do what they need to do, and she'll be the one going out, collecting the evidence, processing it, making sure everything gets to the crime lab and back.
And may I say that these are additional hires, not within our current budget, but being paid for by that grant, and so we're so proud of that. We will now administer the oath to you, and if you would, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Mississippi, and obey the laws thereof, that I am not disqualified from holding the office of, and state your office, for the city of Natchez, Mississippi, that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office which I am about to do. So help me God. Thank you so much. Congratulations. We would like to ask Reverend Marvel to come forward and speak a special blessing over you as you embark upon this career with the city of Natchez.
Mayor,
Yeah,
y'all come over real quick.
please, oh, so many years. So glad to see you.
Marcy, go ahead.
The Bible tells us in all thy ways to acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. The Bible also tells us that God is a very present help in the time of need. Certainly, those of you who have dedicated yourself to the law enforcement personnel and officers certainly need to invite the Lord into your life every day. Because we sing a song over the black church particularly, that the angels keep watch over me all the time, praise God. When you have a working relationship with the Lord, you can proclaim that also, and he will do it. Let us have a word of prayer for these officers. We told God our Father in the name of Jesus, we come to say thank you for touching the heart and the mind of these newly dedicated officers, that you would continue to bless you and Almighty. We grant you a divine touch from on high, that they'll be to make right decisions in crucial times at all times. And that the decisions that they make to bring glory to your name, protected to them and protected to the constituency of the city. We thank you, O God, for the police chief and law enforcement everywhere. Pray that you would bless all of them. It is in the mighty, magnificent, precious holy name of Jesus we pray. Thank you again for hearing our prayer, and we give you the praise, the glory, and the honor forever. And everybody said, Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And that's a chaplain, Marvel, who has long been a chaplain in the sheriff's department and also our Natchez police.
You just get to the sign, you sign.
All right.
So,
And I will invite, the alderman may have something they'd like to say.
No, not always before. We're grateful for the new officers that have come aboard with us. I can personally say that I am, and I think I speak for all the persons that are here this evening. And it's also, what else do you think? We take charge. We know how to be healthy. So we're grateful to have you come aboard, and particularly you, someone who's going to do our CSI. That's awesome. That's awesome. So we ask you, God, to be congratulations.
Congratulations to all of you. Continue to keep your lives on the line every day, and when you get cars who are saying that cars with your lives on the line every day. Thank you.
Well, I would like to say, as I want to always go. Long term, let me say, ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching this on a past night, it's money bill. You don't be criticized, you don't get ostracized or whatever, but I don't think I can say you do your job, you do it well. Because what you got on now, the badge that you got on, it's not the badge, it's the person behind it. You are the pillar of the community. Everyone in there looks up to you. the police. So you do your job, go out there and do the crack. You know, and you see today, you look around, you look all around, we're under a lot of stress. And this is something that we got to deal with. But, like I said, you do your job, at the end of the day, you go home satisfied, and you get the best that you can do. So, and I'll say this to all, each and everyone, whenever you go on a call, look out for each other. I don't care who you are, what color you are, at the end of the day, we all do it on the same. That's the only thing I do. Amen.
But I just want to publicly say thank you to you and the board of Aldermen, Dillard, all of you, Brady, all Carl Smith, and ladies for supporting the police department. Thank you for always having our back.
All right. I also want to say, please keep our cadets in your prayers, because we have several who are at the police academy in Jackson, even as we speak. Looking forward to their graduation and swearing them in soon. We're still working through, we're not getting to the minutes yet. We have, I do want to make one quick announcement, and that is, some of you may be here for the budget presentation. We are actually having a budget, it will be a budget work session. It's going to be a mandatory work session, and it is open, obviously, to everyone. That will be held on the 6th of September. It's a Tuesday at 10 a.m. We will also have a public hearing that evening at 6, and that will be the official public hearing. That will be at 6 p.m. Both meetings will be here in the City Council chamber, so mark your calendar. That will be on September 6th. We are working on that. The city clerk's been hard at work on the budget, and I am working with all of our department directors, and we're very excited about what we're going to be able to accomplish this next year. I see a lot of DNA folks here, Downtown Natchez Alliance, and we are so proud of our DNA, and we are proud of our new director, Diane DuPont. And I want to say, I was going to bring this up, and I have a miscellaneous business section under the mayor's report, and I was going to bring this up then, but I'm going to go ahead and bring it up now since y'all are here, if the board will allow me. This is under miscellaneous updates under the mayor's office. It has come to our attention that our director is in need of some office space. And DNA is funded in large part by the city of Natchez through an annual appropriation of $50,000 a year. And this is about to become, help me out, third or fourth year that we've done this, going into our fourth year of doing this in the new budget. And so I think it's fitting that the director be allowed to operate out of an office here at this city council building as the director of DNA, which is funded in large part by the city. And we would like to add this to our support of DNA going forward. This is something that may have to be brought up for a final vote at the next meeting. But I wanted to go ahead and bring that up so that we can work on the details, the legalities, and make sure that by the next meeting, we're ready to move forward with that. We're not going to entertain a motion or discussion at this time, but I just want everyone to be thinking about that and thinking about the important role that DNA is already playing in Natchez and in downtown development and downtown management. We're really grateful to have you here. Now, you're invited to continue through the meeting, But I also know we have another item on the agenda that involves some of you being here, and that is the cemetery. We're going to get to that in just a minute. You see, we do have several who are ahead of you under city business. But I do want to say this in view of our time. I would like to go ahead and bring our legal counsel up because Mr. Peyton Prosper is working hard for the city on our various bonds, and he is accompanied by Mr. Jamie Holloway with Government Consultants. Haven't even spoken yet. Good to see you, Jamie. We are about to embark upon something very historic in the city of Natchez without raising taxes. We are looking at several bonds that we are excited to be able to do. We've been talking about these in prior meetings. We have already had a motion allowing the process to move forward. I have already signed the resolutions. We are now moving toward the final stage of issue, and these bonds include three. One bond is a $6 million general obligation bond to make repairs to city streets. To our knowledge, you can clap. To our knowledge, it will be the largest city street project that we've had in many years. Second is a bond pertaining to the convention center. We're very grateful that we've almost paid that convention center down to the point now we can do other things, including a $3 million renovation of the convention center, a $2 million renovation of the city auditorium, and a $300,000 renovation of the Civic Center. Some of you know it as the community center, but it's technically our Civic Center. And so that we can move forward on that, we are going to recognize in just a minute Mr. Prosper, but we also have a third bond, and that is for other improvements. And those improvements include the renovation, the final money needed to renovate the youth center at North Natchez Park, to complete the renovation phase one, which is the majority of the project of renovating the Duncan Park clubhouse, the golf clubhouse, also renovating the canteen there at Duncan Park, also making renovations to this building, making renovations also to our police department, renovations to our fire departments, and also making way for the Hiram Revels Plaza project that we're so excited about. And also, yes, you can clap on that. And then also utility improvements on the north end of the bluff so that we can better accommodate large festivals and events. And that is a great thing. Did I leave anything out?
I'm thinking, I'm working on it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to now introduce you, Mr. Prosper.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, aldermen and women, for the opportunity to be here tonight and to work in behalf of what I consider the most significant city in the state of Mississippi, the city of Natchez.
You can clap on that one.
Mayor, you and your board met on July 26th, and you adopted 3 separate resolutions of intent to move forward with bond issues on the 3 projects you named. In that resolution of intent, you set tonight, August 23, as a hearing date for anyone who had wanted to submit an objection to a project, any one of the 3. And I've not been apprised that there's any written objection, legally sufficient or otherwise. And so that being the case, on each of the 3 bond projects you have in front of you, there has been provided a resolution adjudicating no protest, which is the next step to proceeding with authorization for the sale of bonds. So, I don't know what order you may want to proceed, but, we may take them from the, $2,100,000, city of Natchez general obligation bonds for the capital improvements that you named, police, fire, the higher levels, plaza, North Bluff, the north, the center, and we may want to start with that and just, and present the resolution for adjudication of non-protest.
Okay.
Then we can do that for each of the other two, and we'll move to the authorization.
All right, if you'll guide us on the motion that we need to entertain.
I would propose that there be a motion to the effect that the resolution adjudicating no protest on the $2,100,000 city of Natchez general obligation bonds, series 2022, for capital improvements, be considered and then subsequently approved.
Okay, I'll entertain that motion. Motion made by Alderwoman Hall,
Second.
second by Alderman Frazier. We'll move into a discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
and it may be just the information that I'm looking at with these sheets with all the caps on them, and I'm trying to sort them out. But this has $2,250,000.
The resolution of intent that was adopted on July 26 was in an amount not to exceed $2.25 million. And as figures became more specific and precise as to the allocation costs, it was decided that no more than $2,100,000 would be necessary. And that is what is before you tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? We'll call for the question. Second, we'll proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall,
Aye.
Alderman Frazier, Alderwoman Smith is absent. Alderwoman Irving,
Aye.
Alderman Davis is absent. Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion carries. Next item, Mr. President.
The next item concerns the resolution adjudicating no protest for the $6 million city of Natchez general obligation bonds for the roads and bridges, Mayor. And if I may speak to that, while it is in fact a general obligation bond, which means the city is pledging taxes, that does not mean the city is levying any taxes at all to pay the debt service, because there was legislation enacted in 2018 in Jackson that provides for the collection of sales and use taxes on online sales. And so for the first time, there was additional new revenue coming in to municipalities and counties across the state. And the legislature, in its wisdom, restricted the use of those new monies to infrastructure, roads, bridges, water, and sewer. So there was received by the city this year in excess of $970,000 from this source of online sales and use taxes. And it would be those monies that will go to pay the financing for the funding of roads and bridges improvements, streets in the city of Natchez. So there won't be any new taxes required. This is essentially new money to the city for the purpose of infrastructure, and that's how it will be spent to pay the bonds that generate proceeds that will enable you to put $6 million into the city's streets of Natchez. I want to make that point clear. So this, before you, for consideration and approval, is the resolution adjudicating no protest for moving forward with the $6 million city of Natchez general obligation bonds for roads and bridges.
So moved.
All right, a motion made by Alderwoman Hall, second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Frazier. Discussion on the motion.
Yes.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
You explained to, but I know you explained to us in legal terms, but, you know, for people out there that don't understand legal terms, we're getting this is the money from the infrastructure bill that the president signed a year or two ago. This is money allocated to going throughout the country.
Mr. Frazier, this is monies that comes from the Mississippi legislature. There's no federal money here.
No, okay, that's what I'm trying.
And this is 2018, before COVID and before the Federal Recovery Act monies. So this is money that the state was not receiving before 2018, began to receive. It was phased in, 25%, 50, 75, and now you're receiving the full 100% of that that's to be allocated to Natchez. Can't be spent on anything but infrastructure. And so that is new money that will pay the debt service on the bonds. And that debt service on the $6 million will be, the first 5 years, about $550,000. You're going to be getting you got 970 this year. I think the projection for next year, Mr. Frazier, is $1.2 million. So you're only spending half of this new money for the debt service going forward, which leaves the city with another $450,000, $500,000 in addition for its other purposes. Again, for infrastructure, streets, water, sewer, bridges, whatever your needs may be. So I think this is a happy circumstance for the city.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion?
So moved.
Yes, call the question. We'll now proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
And let the record show the other two absent. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item.
We've done capital improvements, we've done streets. The next item concerns renovations at the Convention Center, at the City Auditorium, and the Civic Center. And these will be bonds issued through the Mississippi Development Bank. And that is basically a state entity that affords the city a little more flexibility in the issuance of debt of these bonds, and maybe enhances the credit just slightly in the issuance. And the city adopted its resolution of intent on these, I'll call them the Convention Center project, July 26th. We're here tonight to adjudicate no protest. And the no protest, I mean, the nature of these development bank bonds are twofold. There's a Series A bond that will raise $2,130,000 to refund some prior debt for which the city would be paying $1 million next year and $1 million in 2024. This will greatly reduce that cash flow concern. It will pay off the 2018s. That's Series A bonds. The Series B bonds generates the new money for the improvements that you identified at the Convention Center, at the City Auditorium, and at the Civic Center. Those are the Series B bonds. So we had to do it in two series because the Series A bonds will be taxable. The income will be taxable to the purchaser. The Series B bonds will be, the income, the interest paid will be tax exempt to the purchaser. So we had to break them out at the development bank. And so, Mayor, I would recommend that there be a motion to adopt the resolution of adjudicating no protest for the issuance of the Mississippi Development Bank Special Obligation Bonds Series 2022A in the amount of $2,130,000, and in the issuance of the Mississippi Development Bank Special Obligation Bond Series B in the amount of $5,516,000. That total is $7,646,000, which is less than the not to exceed 8 million that was adopted in the resolution of intent on the 26th.
All
Second.
right. Alderwoman Hall has made the motion, seconded by Alderman Dillard.
Yes.
Any discussion on the motion? Bill, yes?
I'm sorry. If I may, Mr. Mayor, the debt service on these development bank bonds will be approximately $670,000 a year. But the city currently is receiving for debt service on convention center bonds of $400,000. That 400 will go and simply be applied to these new bonds issued by the Mississippi Development Authority. The Mississippi Development Bank, and they can be supplemented with legally available revenues from the city. So.
To note that this actually is a great measure in freeing up city funds for other purposes, because we've been committing so many dollars, about $1 million a year, to the convention center in years past. And the debt service that you just mentioned on this will be significantly less. So we're in good shape here in the city, and we're grateful for that. The question has been called. We will proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it with 2 absent. Motion passes.
And
Thank
at this time, Mayor, we move to the authorizing phase. Now that we've adjudicated no protest, the city's prepared to move forward to see if the bonds are issued. And again, I suggest we start with the $2,100,000 capital improvements bonds. And you have before you an authorizing resolution, which would be the basis on which a purchaser will buy these bonds. And it contains a notice of bond sale, which has to be published twice. And the date that the notice of bond sale contains for the submission of bids, these will be bid bonds, they won't be privately negotiated, they'll be competitively bid. The date for the bids to be received is September 13 at your meeting here on September 13. And we'll publish twice. Jamie Holloway, the municipal advisor for the city, will be getting out credit packages for this $2,100,000 bond issue for the capital improvements. And you would anticipate bids on that day, and an award resolution would be adopted on that day. And then we can proceed toward validation and closing, and the money would flow then to the city in October. So this is the authorizing resolution for the city of Natchez, the $2,100,000 city of Natchez general obligation bonds for the capital improvements project.
Right. What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Alderman Dillard to approve, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion on the motion. We will call for the question.
Called.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. We're taking these by roll call. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
Let the record show 2 absent, and the ayes have it. Motion carries.
Next item is the $6 million City of Natchez general obligation bonds for roads and bridges, which will be paid for from this new source of funding from online sales. And the mechanism for the $6 million road and bridge bonds issue is the very same as for the $2,100,000. This bond resolution, the authorizing resolution, will be the basis for the by which the terms and conditions are set forth for the purchaser, and it contains a notice of bond sale, same time frame. Bids would be received on Tuesday, September 13, when y'all meet again, and an award resolution would be adopted. and then we see the validation and then closing thereafter, sometime in late October. And
I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Dillard has made the motion. Alderwoman Hall has seconded it. Discussion. We'll call for the question.
Call.
We'll proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
Let the record reflect 2 absent, and motion passes. Next item.
the last item is the authorizing resolution with respect to the Mississippi Development Bank Special Obligation Bonds, Series 2022A, in the amount of $2,130,000 for the purpose of refunding the 2018 Convention Center bonds, and for the issuance of the Mississippi Development Bank Special Obligation Bonds, Series 2022B, in the amount of $5,516,000 for the purpose of providing funds for the improvement renovation of the Convention Center, City Auditorium, and Civic Center. And with this resolution, there are several documents that will govern the transaction between the Mississippi Development Bank, a trustee, and the ultimate purchasers of the Mississippi Development Bank bonds. And this authorizing resolution, with those documents that it approves, which includes the trust indenture, a loan agreement that governs the proceeds received by the development bank that then flow to the city to retire the 2018 bonds and then to fund the improvements. There is also a tax intercept agreement, which is part of the security for these bonds, which will have the effect of producing a slightly more favorable interest rate. The tax intercept provides that if revenues are insufficient at the city to pay debt service, that the trustee can call on that tax intercept agreement and get monies from the Mississippi Department of Revenue that would otherwise go to the city. It's simply a backstop. A tax intercept has never been triggered, and they're used rather frequently. So these various documents that are contained in the authorizing resolution will be approved and will be presented to the Mississippi Development Bank at its meeting on Wednesday, September 14. At that time, they will receive this authorizing resolution and basically adopt its resolution issuing its bonds, which will be purchased, and the money will flow ultimately through the city of Natchez. So, I'm presenting to you for consideration and approval the authorizing resolution for the Series 2022A and the Series 2022B bonds that will be issued by the Mississippi Development Bank.
Pleasure of the board. Alderwoman Hall has made the motion.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Dillard. Discussion on the motion. We'll call for the question.
Called.
Second.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
Please let the record show 2 absent. Motion carries.
One other point with respect to the Development Bank, Mayor, at their meeting at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, the 14th of September, they require a representative of the city. I will leave that to you. I understand you will be unavailable, but we can discuss a representative of the city for that meeting. That's
Thank
all I
you.
have, Mayor.
All right.
I think Jamie Holloway may have a point or two, but.
Yes,
that's
sir.
your-
Thank you, Mr. Prospero. Thank you so much. And Mr.
Very quick, I promise. Things are starting to move more quickly now. Just wanted to thank the city clerk. She's done a fantastic job of helping me out. One slight change to the timeline. We initially said we're going to send out bids on the 3rd of September. However, that's a Saturday, and I'm going to just take a guess that nobody's going to be at work that day. So we're going to try to push it back to the Monday before, on the 29th. So, thank you all, and we'll see y'all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. I think this is truly historic. I just have to say, thank you. Natchez renewal is continuing to happen. Thank you. Next item, we're going to come back to the minutes in a moment, but we have so many who are here and we don't want to hold them all night. We're going to now introduce Devin Heath, who is the Executive Director for Visit Natchez, for presentation of the 2023 budget and business plan for Visit Natchez. And I've got to say, Mr. Devin Heath, you're shaming me. I left my button on my desk. Ask me about the symphony. While he's handing that out, it's actually on the mayor's report, and I'm just going to go ahead and get that update right now while we're talking tourism. We've been back and forth with American Cruise Lines a lot, and we are so excited about the event happening on August 30th. I also want to, first remind everyone it will be at 10:30. Actually, the symphony quartet will start playing about 10:15 at the convention center. We'll get into the actual program around 10:45. And then after that, we'll make our way down to the symphony for the actual christening of this beautiful new vessel. We have, and we'll put this out tomorrow, but I'll go ahead and tell everyone, we are so grateful that Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann will be here representing the governor. The governor will be with us in spirit by way of a video message. Governor Hosemann, Lieutenant Governor Hosemann will be here. Also, we will be putting out an official announcement tomorrow. But I want to just go ahead and let you know, when we call this the christening of the American Symphony and Natchez becoming the godmother city, what that means is Natchez will be now on its way to becoming the port of origination, the home port for American Symphony. And it does require a godmother, and we have a really good godmother who will be making her way to Natchez to christen the ship, and it's Mississippi's own Asia Branch. Asia, you may remember, was our 2018 Miss Mississippi, but she is more known now as 2020 Miss USA and an up-and-coming celebrity, quite a celebrity in our country at the moment, and she will be here with us. She will be singing at the event, but also we will have the Victory Bells singing, and they are one of the most acclaimed reenactment groups in the country, portraying the Andrews Sisters, and they are very commonly seen and enjoyed at war museums like the World War II Museum in New Orleans, and we're just very grateful that they're going to be here. So this is not something you're going to want to miss. It's going to be fantastic. We also confirmed yesterday that Dickie Brennan will be here, along with developers of the Yola project who are so excited about this. And we actually have a conference call tomorrow with Southern Airways and American Cruise Lines. So a lot of things to celebrate. So mark your calendar for August 30th. Now I can check that off the list and introduce you. Devin Heath, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Alderwomen, Aldermen, good evening. I'm excited on behalf of our Natchez Convention Promotion Commission and Board of Commissioners and staff, as well as our Tourism Marketing Advisory Committee, to present to you the 2023 fiscal budget, as well as our business plan for the next year. We're really excited about the directions that we're headed in for next year. I won't ask you to read that all tonight, but certainly I encourage you to read that, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you have. We're really excited about the direction that we're headed in. I do want to just put a save the date out there to you, as well as to the community of Natchez as a whole. For October 4th, we will be holding our annual tourism summit, where we will go into much more detail about the direction that Visit Natchez is headed in, and hopefully have some great information to be able to share there. But I do want to give you just a couple of exciting things that we're as we're coming to a close for 2022. We're really tracking how we're performing, and I will say that 2022 has proven to be one of our best in recent years. Now, we know obviously that we've had COVID that has affected us since 2020, but I'm excited to say that we've had the highest hotel RevPAR since 2014. We also have had the highest total tourism, our projections will be that we'll have the highest total tourism taxes, basically meaning our visitors are coming here and spending more money here in Natchez since 2018. So certainly pre-pandemic levels, and we're really excited about that, as well as the direction that we're headed in for next year. I don't want to spoil the good news that the team is going to share with everyone on October 4th, but I do want to just give you a couple of quick highlights about what we're going to be focused on as we go through this next year. As many, if not all of you know already, we are working on a new brand for Visit Natchez. And through that new brand, we're really looking to expand our marketing reach into new market segments, new target markets, new directions that we're going to go in. We're going to continue to focus on a lot of the components that we are currently focused on, but we want to expand that. We want to grow and grow into new directions and new opportunities with new initiatives. We're going to have new initiatives into niche market segments that we have not fully invested in to date, as well as emerging destination marketing areas. So we've always focused on cities like Baton Rouge, cities like New Orleans, to target. We're going to be able to target some other markets that we haven't necessarily targeted before, but with a little bit more effort, we're going to be able to start seeing some increased visitation from those areas. And lastly, as a result of the ARPA funds, Visit Natchez will be receiving funds from through the ARPA program, and it's funneled through the state of Mississippi in the form of the Mississippi Tourism Recovery Fund Part 2. As you all will recall, we were recipients of Mississippi Tourism Recovery Fund Part 1 in 2020. We will be receiving additional funding this year, and that budget is also included in there. And we have a very definitive plan an aggressive plan that we're going to be really focused on in this next year. So we're thrilled about where we're headed, and we're confident that Natchez is going to continue to grow.
Wow.
And so we just ask that the business plan and budget be spread upon the minutes. And I'll certainly entertain any questions or comments.
This is the best presentation I've seen in looking at presentations from Visit Natchez. There's a lot of information in here. There's a lot of strategic planning, a lot of great statistics. I want to point out something that is important for everyone to understand. There, I think, are some misnomers out there in the community about how Visit Natchez operates. And I'm going to this is actually on page 2, who we are. And I just want to read this because it's important information. The Natchez Convention Promotion Commission, doing business as Visit Natchez, has been the leader of tourism in Natchez as the official destination marketing organization since 1973. Visit Natchez is a state legislated organization structured by Mississippi Senate Bill 3191. And that bill defines the purpose of Visit Natchez to fund a marketing and advertising promotion plan to effectively increase overnight visitation and tourism in the city of Natchez. And to this purpose, Visit Natchez is dedicated to doing all of this through their sales and marketing efforts. It's important to note, Visit Natchez is actually a separate entity. And we, as a mayor and board, we make appointments, and that is appointments to the commission, and then the commissioners take it from there. and they hire you, and together y'all work on all of this, and we're very proud of the job you're doing.
Thank you.
Also, today, there is no motion needed because we don't actually have any approval of their budget. They are their own entity. But because there are tax funds involved in this, they make all of this information public, and this is what's being done today. And so this will be spread on our minutes. And it also, I know, is available for anyone. And I encourage everyone to come to the annual tourism summit because that's where so much is shared about how we're doing. It's important to know that so much money is being generated. And Devin, if you would, please share with us what this means in terms of a local impact to our economy.
Well, the local, the local impact is actually increasing. As we all know, 2019 was a strong year, 2018, 2019. Then we hit COVID, and then COVID declined. And then we've been kind of rebounding and rebuilding. We don't have the numbers yet for 2022, but I will say for 2021, we're at about 93% of where we were pre-COVID. I do anticipate that those numbers will rebound, will return. One of the other things that we really want to focus on next year is data research. We're going to invest more in data research to be able to not just identify where our visitors are coming, because we are seeing that. We do see that now. We do understand where our visitors are coming from. But we want to be able to see what their habits are. We want to be able to see how long are they in market. And now through the abilities that we have with cell phones, and I scared a lot of people when I say this because it's kind of big brother, but I can see where you're going from here to right next door. I can see, unless you opt out, and we hope that you don't because it helps our marketing, but we are able to see that an individual who's coming to a festival here is actually going over to a particular restaurant right after, and then they're going to a particular hotel to go to bed. We can see that an individual or that the average visitor in a particular destination is spending 21 hours and 14 minutes in our destination. So we know that we can target those particular markets. So there's a lot of that data that we really want to start really investing in and being able to understand not just where our visitors are coming from, but what are their habits while they're here? What are they looking for? What are a little more demographics of them before they get here? So that way we can continue to increase our focus and be laser focused on who we're targeting.
That's wonderful. Alderman, do you have any comments, questions?
Well, I
Yes,
just would like to
Alderwoman
say,
Irving.
thank you, Mayor. It's good to see that we're branching out to our market. You're being able to identify, that's really good because that's what's gonna continue to provide data that's needed for future.
Absolutely.
If we're growing and we're going and progressively moving forward, we need that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Heath. This is very, very in-depth. But would you send it digitally to our city clerk so she doesn't have to manually extract all of this?
Absolutely. I would be happy to.
Thank you.
Great job.
Great job. I'm going to also say, just for the record, the Ncpc budget is a total revenue, and this counts the 3% hotel tax and the 1.5% restaurant tax, and then interest from their checking account, $1,365,300. And then I'm going to also say that when looking at expenses, and this is everything from advertisement to convention center warrants, and explain to us what a convention center warrant is.
Well, Mr. Prosper would probably, well, he's gone. I was going to say he would probably do a better job, but
I believe that actually is the the money that you collect that then has to be
remitted,
to the city
correct.
as the city's portion of those taxes that helps support the expenses of the convention.
That is correct, yes.
And that is what we're actually using to repay the bond that we just authorized earlier in the meeting. I'm just saying this for, reasons of transparency. Once you factor that in, that takes off a good $500,000, and then you get into everything from bank charges to labor to all of the expenditures necessary in promoting the city and the salaries and all of the sponsorships that you do throughout the community. If you look at all of this, you have actually a balanced budget, but you have accounted for every expenditure.
Correct. And if I may just
Yes.
add, one tax that you did not include in that was the $2 occupancy tax. That's dedicated specifically for marketing.
That's right, and that actually,
Marketing or TMAC committee
and
advises us on.
And that's right, because you have an operating account, you have a marketing account, and the $2 hotel tax, $360,000 plus interest, $344, total marketing revenue, $360,000, $344. And then, as we said, all of your marketing expenditures. So it's all there. You also are audited annually, and your accounting firm is?
Our accounting firm is currently working on it. Our accounting firm is Silas Simmons. And the audit is currently underway right now. We anticipate being able to provide you the results of that very shortly, but we anticipate another positive report.
Before we end, yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I would like to make a motion that we make this information a part of our minutes.
Okay. I think,
That's already been established.
well, it's established, but there's no harm in having a motion that be spread upon our minutes. And that motion's been made by Alderwoman Irving. Second by Alderwoman
I
Hall.
think Dillard.
Or Alderman Dillard, did you second it?
You did.
Okay, I didn't hear you. Alderman Dillard has seconded the motion. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call for the questions. We'll now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. With 2 absent, motion passes. Before we end, could you introduce anyone who's here on behalf of Visit Natchez?
I would be happy to. First and foremost, I would like to introduce our former chairperson, current board member, Mr. Lance Harris. As well as our cultural heritage tourism manager, talking about some of those areas that we're going to be really focused on in the new year, and that's Dr. Roscoe Barnes III.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure working with you, Devin.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Y'all, we, as I said, we have a lot of people here. We have to move along. I want to recognize these guys who are here on behalf of Coca-Cola. Carter Lusk, I'm going to ask you to come up to the podium along with Robert and introduce yourselves to us and your purpose for being here. Sonora, I may be stealing your thunder a little bit. Would you like to come, Ms. Cole, also? Because you're the one who actually brought these guys to the dance, as they say. And so why don't we first have you introduce them as our Department of Parks and Recreation Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Today I come before you to present Carter Lusk and George Brown, representatives of Coca-Cola. Originally, we were kind of brainstorming some ideas of how we could form a partnership and an agreement with Parks and Recreation. Carter and George went back to the drawing board and came up with something pretty good for us. And so they want to come up and present to you their proposal for a partnership with Parks and Recreation. So I'll let them have the floor.
All right. Thank you, Sonora. Mayor, Board, thank you so much for having us tonight, especially coming from a humble Coke man. It means the world for us to be here. I need to go ahead and tell you what it is I do. I'm the on-premise territory manager for Natchez and Macomb Coca-Cola. My team is comprised of a select couple of individuals that handle basically all on-premise operations would include schools, hospitals, parks and recreation, special events, community involvement, any on-premise sales, including vending. All the full-service vending operations go through us. George Brown is my right hand in Natchez. He handles all our operations here and oversees many a thing. And I'm going to tell you, it's been a wonderful journey for us in Natchez here. What I have for you today is a proposal for a 5-year partnership between Natchez Park and Recreation and Natchez Coca-Cola. When I lay these things out, I will go ahead and tell you, I always end up dancing back and forth a little bit. I apologize in advance, but I think you'll see we've got some really good things ahead and in this packet. I was informed everyone does have a packet here tonight. Just go ahead and dive in. One of the things that I want to cover, we've already started a little bit here. We're asking for full beverage exclusivity between Natchez Parks and Recreation and Coca-Cola United, encompassing everything that, including retail outlets, concessions of potential leagues and sports. And I'm going to dive into that a little more. If you look on your first page, you'll see just some of the examples of the benefits that we can offer. And I'm going to explain more of these as we go along. First, I want to call out, if you look at those first two photos to your left, under the benefits of Coca-Cola partnership, you'll see just a taste of what we've done at the courts of Duncan Park. The top photo is some window screen that we've done on the front entrance at the courts, and then just something we've done to kind of jazz up the grounds there. And
And I don't, we have the contract. I don't know if they actually have the presentation.
Right.
Don't we have it? I thought we had it on PowerPoint.
Give us just a second.
I'm sorry about that. Okay.
But I will tell you,
Just make sure I know mine is.
the contract I know spells everything out, and but I'd like to kind of just go into the proposal first.
The pictures are powerful. They are, and what you're offering to do for the city.
We should have some backups here shortly. But anyway, my team, we were very small, but we reached far. We've got, I wanted to point out that we had some enormous growth through Natchez and the Coca-Cola on-premise operations over the last, really in the last trimester. Our small division, centered in Natchez, and most of these outlets came from Natchez, opened in excess of 51 new customers just in Natchez Coca-Cola on-premise operations in the last trimester. I think that spells wonderful growth for Natchez. That really speaks to what's happening in this city. George, if you will, pass those out, and we'll have everybody take a look at that.
Richard.
Everybody does that. All right. We good to go now?
Yes.
All right, just making sure we had everything present. And again, I'm going to have to kind of dive back and forth between this first slide and show you just some pictures of what we've done. I'm very proud of what our local print shops can do for us. We have some of the best graphic design artists in the country that design that at the courts. Some of the benefits we're about to lay out shortly. What we're asking is, again, a proposed beverage partnership exclusivity between ourselves and Natchez Parks and Recreation. As a part of those benefits, I'm just going to run down the road and we'll kind of get into it a little deeper. We provide banners, menu boards, custom signage to all parks and rec facilities and grounds if needed. And I'll kind of explode that a little bit. I don't care if it's a bathroom sign that we have to print. We're happy to do it as a benefit of this partnership. Logos, of course, are nothing for us to reproduce, and we've done some wonderful things through our print shop. Powerade equipment, because obviously athletics are a big part of this, and I hope to see our sports leagues really expand in the coming years. Powerade equipment is going to encompass things like water coolers, ice chest, squirt bottles, towels, that type of thing. And that's something that even just the Parks and Ground team can use in daily operations. That's, again, a perk of this agreement, and you'll see a little picture of some of that here on that first page. Beverage equipment and service, any coolers, any ice barrels, dispensing equipment like a tea brewer, for example. We do, of course, have Gold Peak brewed tea. All the large coolers, double doors, countertops, whatever is needed for sales or concessions. And this is, again, encompassing things like the pro shop, the golf course, or the courts, or the youth center. We provide all of that equipment at no cost whatsoever to Natchez Park and Rec as a part of this agreement. Every piece of Coca-Cola equipment is backed by a 24-hour service guarantee. That means if the cooler goes out an hour before the big game, it's one call away. We have a guy on call, local men right here to Natchez that will come out and service that equipment. That means that we're able to get you back and going and selling and making good money out there for whatever the concession or outlet need. The service department, again, is unparalleled with that. We back everything we've got. Wonderful tools and coolers of every shape and size for whatever the outlet. Emergency water and bus water, you'll see that. That's really speaking to half-liter water, similar to what you have in front of you there. We really provide this as far as worker need, employee need, half-liter Dasani bottles is what that's done with. And again, premium pricing is given and discounts provided based on quantity. Donations and special events, and I'd like to call it where this could be utilized. We donate cans, 2 liters, half-liter water. For example, if it's a movie night, a special event of any kind, a company retirement or meeting, we provide up to $500 worth per year of product for those special events and employee needs as a part of this agreement per year. Concession trailers is something else that we provide. We have the option to provide. We have 4 right here that we'll house, and of course, we're going to expand that fleet very soon. With that, we do say on here we prefer a 2-week. We can kind of cinch that up if needed, but they're wonderful. We'll have some out for the balloon race this year as an example. But that is, again, preferred usage as a benefit of this agreement. What we're asking in exchange, and again, I know we've covered a little bit of this, but we'll get specific. We ask that Natchez Park and Recreation agree to us as the exclusive beverage distributor for all ready-to-drink brewed and frozen beverages and full-service beverage. That would be your vending. And to explain to you what full service is, I know that most of you aren't in the drink business. Full service would be we come through, we fill each vending machine on those grounds. We would supply them all, of course, with the this newest equipment, state-of-the-art, card readers, and we basically analyze that service on a monthly basis. And what I mean by analyze is we would take a look at that equipment if, for example, pink lemonade's not selling very well. Our team's going to immediately analyze it and go, hey, we need to switch this out to make ourselves and, of course, our partners more money. So it's, again, an ever-evolving service, full service is. No other carbonated or non-carbonated soft drinks or beverages may be sold, advertised, or sampled in any manner that is in direct competition with the products or brands of Natchez or Macomb Coca-Cola. We do ask that 20-ounce Coca-Cola products be the official package for all athletic concessions. There's a reason that we do that. 20-ounce is the preferred package, really the standard for all concession. If you go out to the bluff, that's what you're going to get. The pricing capabilities in 20-ounce can survive any economic situation. And I will tell you, pre-pandemic, the schools, for example, might have been selling for $2. Now, with the cost of goods up, they're able to get a higher retail for that in special events because it's just the premium package. It's that sweet spot, and that's why we ask it in all outlets. Just the most versatile package possible. All third-party concessionaires are included with this, so I know that our golf pro shop and our tennis courts retail are run by third party, and of course that would ask that they are privy to this and keep 20 ounces as a preferred package. Of course, there are some exceptions. Body Armor is one of our premium brands. It's not offered in a 20-ounce bottle. We offer it in a 16. Gold Peak bottled tea is an 18.5 ounce bottle. That would be an exception as well. We just ask that it is a presence in every outlet. Just a few more benefits that come through with this, and this is where we're kind of getting down to the meat and potatoes. In this 5-year proposed agreement, started this month, if agreed to, through July 31st, 2027, we provide, starting in year 2, marketing funds, general marketing funds in the amount of $2,000 a year to Natchez Parks and Recreation. The reason, and I'm going to skip a little bit here, that we offer that starting in year 2 is because in year 1, we offer a $14,000 scoreboard capital contribution. That $14,000 will be used potentially to replace all 3 baseball scoreboards in the 3 fields currently on the grounds. That would be provided by Rainey Electronics. They have a 10-year warranty on all their products, and they do wonderful work with us in our schools and parks. With that, the payment schedule as follows. We can, of course, work with, we've named in August, as long as it's in that calendar year, we can work with Snore's team, whatever they prefer in that. We also will pay, and this is a big piece of the funding, $3 per every 24 count case sold, with the exception of half-liter bus water, which I hope we would be donating to you either way. $3 per case, and that's through all outlets sold. That's the only exception to that, again, would be full service and then half-liter water. Full service, we will offer a 20% commission, which I think you'll find is an industry-leading commission for all vending machines placed on the grounds. The $3 per case would apply to any leagues, anything retail or concessions applying to the Natchez Parks and Rec grounds. We also leave room for growth. If our sales projections, which will be mentioned on the next page here, are met after year 3, we offer an option for both parties to discuss renewal, including increased funding. That will be discussed between both of our parties, and I look for that to happen. I think the growth in this city is more than enough to look at that and expand. And that's our goal, is to expand and run this option through all possible outlets. Again, I think I mentioned the full service vending of the 20%. That's listed below, and then the scoreboards. To get down to it and wrap, our marketing contributions overview is really our last slide. We also have included pricing in our packet as well. The funding, marketing dollars starting in year 2, $2,000 a year for a comprehensive $8,000 over 5 years. The rebates at $3 per case, we estimate that will bring in a conservative estimate at $2,750 a year worth of case funding through rebates, with a total of $8,250 over 5 years. The full service commission, we estimated a minimum of $1,200 a year for a total of $6,000 over that 5-year agreement. Merchandising, and again, this is just the value that we have to allot to the print work. I tell everyone when it comes to print work, make me tell you no. So we do put a dollar on it. We want to do anything we can to assist with jazzing up all the parks and rec grounds. We put that at a value of $2,000 a year, our cost, at a total of $10,000 over 5 years. The Powerade sideline equipment at $500 a year. This is, again, the coolers, ice chest, cups, and whatnot, at $2,500 over 5 years. Product donations and special events, $2,500 worth over that 5-year agreement. And then finally, again, the scoreboard capital for those 3 scoreboards at $14,000 for a grand total value partnership of $51,250 over 5 years. I will say that I'm very excited the opportunity that we have with this and to expand with this. And I'd love to see where our outlets are going. But with that, our last slide will just give you our pricing that we offer. I think you'll find it's a premium price that we have. That's a special customer privy option. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
I would like move that we take this under advisement and allow our attorney to look over all of this and have communications with you all.
Absolutely.
All right. I think we can do that. Did you just make that motion?
Yes.
Could I just make a comment?
Oh, sure.
Could we, I know we have met with them. They sharpened their pencil. I think they're giving us the best proposal they can give us. Could we instead entertain a motion to approve pending the approval, final approval of our city attorney? That way it won't have to come back
Before the board.
before the board and won't delay the process.
I'll amend that motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, yes.
Second?
well, I think
I need a second. Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderwoman Irving. Yes, thank you. Alderman Dillard?
yes, Mr. Mayor, it seems, at least what I heard, we were basically agreeing to enter into negotiations. There's nothing formal or final, or and you did a wonderful presentation there, but I can almost read that fast and think that fast, but I'd like the attorney to be able to give it a full review and blessing, because there's some conditions in here, and is this, and I would imagine this is just a presentation of an agreement. This isn't it in and of itself.
Right.
And
we have supplied, I believe, the legal document as well.
Right, and I would like to see those as well. I mean, it kind of goes into the Natchez Park and Recreation will notify Coca-Cola of any beverage sponsorship offers received and shall provide copies of these to Coca-Cola for the extent permitted by law. So it seems that somebody's anticipating that there is a possible another interested party into these things. Is that the intent that I just read?
That's basically right of first refusal. Should we come to any agreement before that term within 30 days, I think it says of that term, that we're offered the option to counter. That's
Right,
basically what that's
right.
pertaining to.
Do you understand that, Mr. Mayor? Did you get that? And that's the only objection I have to kind of approving pending is that we're almost got everything ahead of itself.
If you would rather, we can ask Alderwoman to go back to her original motion and let the attorney review and come back at the next meeting.
I would say this
Would
is.
you like for us to do
I
that?
would. Can I say one other comment? I would say this is an exciting package. It really is. And I'm great. And of course, I would be remiss to not say this, but with our long-standing relationship with Coca-Cola and the city of Natchez, which probably goes back to almost the time they put a cork in the bottle and sent it down here from Vicksburg. So, we're really great having you guys here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I would like at this moment.
Before I amend the motion, does Mr. Attorney have any comments?
A lot of thoughts in my head, but this is first impression. I don't have all that. I'd like to look through all of it.
Okay, I thought you had it. I am sorry. Alderwoman Hall, if you would, restate then your motion in its original form.
The original motion is to take this move to take this under advisement and allow our attorney to look over this proposal and then we come back.
All right. Actually, the motion had already been seconded. I'm going to ask Alderwoman Irving if she's good with that. All right. So the motion now is to take under advisement. My mother always told me, and my dad would always agree with her. Danny Boy puts the cart before the horse sometimes. Be the first one to say it.
But this is an outstanding proposal. I look forward to working with you all.
We do. Alderwoman Irving.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say, just looking at the date, we've just been presented the proposal tonight and it said August 1st. So that's something we need to make an adjustment as well.
Thank you.
Not being the first day. I also would like to say too, we received an article in the paper and I'm sure everybody's read that Coke 2024 will be leaving and reading this information. You all will still have, what was the term you all used? Your associates that would be here.
The most that I can say with that, because of course my company requires me to have approval for statements.
Okay.
The most that I can say is that our commitments to Natchez will not change.
Well, I've read that and even in that comment, the article that I received that I did, but I do want to say, we're hoping that you will continue to support, the city of Natchez and we support you all as well.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was.
We appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, I'll call for the question. Second. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it with 2 absent. Motion carries. I thank you very much, Carter,
Thank you.
George. Thank you. Sonora, Ms. Cole, thank you.
One question.
We now will continue our efforts to get everyone in and out. We have with us Mr. Fred Parker. And Mr. Parker has been working with the city of Natchez now. We're about to go into our 3rd year with this relationship. If everyone will recall, back in the year 2020, we moved forward with a new strategy for health insurance for the employees of Natchez. That has proven to be a great success. We are under a self-insured plan with reinsurance in place. The agent is local through the Byrne Agency, represented by Mr. Fred Parker, and also the TPA and network are provided through Blue Cross. When we first launched this, we were able to do so and save the taxpayers over $300,000 that first year. Last year, as we embarked upon our 2nd year, we were able to continue saving those taxpayers, and that got up to cumulatively over 600. Well, the good news is we're about to embark upon our third year and bring those savings actually we're about to surpass $1 million in savings over a 3-year period with the city's health insurance. In doing so, the employees have had better insurance. We get 0 complaints. We also have managed to make it more affordable for the employees. The city now, going into our third year, takes care of a single employee's coverage 100%. And we pay a significant portion of the the employee with spouse or employee with family. Also, we're under the Blue Cross network, which means that's how it's successful. We are delivering great discounts. I would just have to set this up, Mr. Parker, before I recognize you, because it's been a real success story for Natchez. And having been an insurance consultant in the past, I just am really excited about it. So, Mr. Parker, I'm now going to turn it over to you and let you take it from here.
How is everybody? Mayor, Board of Aldermen, and Alderwomen. My presentation is not as glossy and pretty as my predecessors, nor is it as exciting, I don't think. But I want to cut to the chase. Let's get to the numbers first. You see this fancy little piece I have here. Basically, for the policy year October 22 to September 30, the GAP plan through AmFirst and Morgan White, their rates stayed static. The fixed costs from Blue Cross Blue Shield, the third-party administrator, static. So that's $44.50 an employee, which the employees, as you know, as with your position, that number fluctuates during the year. Based upon 156 employees, that comes to about $83,304 a year. We are having an increase with the Gerber reinsurance through Unity Re, and I'll tell you about my discussion with Jules Lacoste, who's been in the reinsurance business 40 years. He was at my desk. He comes to see me in Natchez, and as you know, when you look at a renewal for a health plan, you look at the claims that you can see and what's coming up. And of course, due to HIPAA, et cetera, and just plain privacy, we don't disclose any of that, although I can see, and Mr. Lacoste and any insurer you'd have to let them see, this is what the claims are. They have their underwriters analyze everything. And I'd sent that information to Jules, and he came to Natchez. And we sat down, and he said, well, you know, we think we might need a laser on this. And what that means is the reinsurance deductible for a particular individual is raised because the underwriters think this could be a really big claim. We're afraid of this. We might want to put a laser on it. Fortunately, unfortunately, I had encountered a claim like this with another group, and I said, hold on a minute, and I went to my computer, I printed it up, redacted the name, and laid it before him, and I said, I don't think that laser is justified. Look at this cost. This is, of course, not being a doctor or an underwriter, I just said, I don't think you're right. I said, go back and look at this. And I don't think the city and this individual deserve a laser at this time. He went back to Atlanta, and he came back with a proposal that had no laser and an increase of 7%, which is $17,964 over the year, which actually I was very happy with. And so, you know, in transparency, that Fred Parker does not get a penny of that increase. There's no money in it for me. But I actually, when I won on that laser discussion, I felt pretty hot. I felt like a real mover and a shaker because, anyway, I did. Now, that being said, if you would indulge me for a moment and look at the other piece, the fancy thing I had printed up at Burn Agency, which says Exhibit 1. This is actual claims, claim charges versus claim payments. What that means is when you go to a hospital or a doctor, when you get a drug, the hospital, doctor, or pharmacy will say, the retail price of this is X. With the Blue Cross contract, the city of Natchez gets X minus Y. Y being what the Blue Cross contract says that hospital they can charge for that exact medical procedure. So this represents Exhibit 1, the actual claim charges versus the actual claim payments for the entire year, policy year, October 20 through 9/21. And if you look at under category hospital, 251 hospital occurrences, charges of $1,585,984, payments of $180,000. What does that mean? That means if you total up those 251 hospital visits, the charge was $1.5 million. Blue Cross allowed $180,000. That's the savings that a Blue Cross contract brings. And this being a self-funded group, large group, I can show you the exact numbers. Now, I won't take any more of your time, but I will on this particular page. But if you add up the charges for employees and dependents for hospital, physician, pharmacy, allied, and other, that's like going to a chiropractor or freestanding medical facility. The total charges for that policy year were $2,605,778.83. Payments were $448,100, a total of 17%. So, in essence, the city was saved. You know, I'm not here to say all insurance companies do this. All of them. Every health plan out there, that's how they operate. The difference is Blue Cross has access to more providers in the state. You as employees and the employees can go see any Blue Cross doctor, hospital, provider. New York, if you need to go to the Cancer Center in Texas there, if you need to go to Birmingham Heart, you're in like Flynn, no fuss, no muss. You're out here.
At University as well. At University Medical Center as well.
That issue, that is a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. That issue, I'm hoping will be brought ahead as attorney can tell you there. A lot of times it takes a lawsuit to bring something to a head. And the fact that Blue Cross took the extremely unusual step of suing employees of UMMC for, I don't know. And like the Coke guys, my contract with Blue Cross or any other insurance company I represent doesn't let me get out here and say a whole lot. But I will say over the 28 years I've been in the insurance business, the fact that a hospital and an insurance company bow up against one another and the hospital says, we're not signing the contract, and the insurance company is saying, but okay, let's try to come to a deal. That is not uncommon. It happened in Gulfport a few years ago with one of their hospitals. It's happened with several other hospitals. What is unusual is that it's come to this boiling point. And I hate it. I will, and to your point, I have had employees of the city, the county, and the other Blue Cross groups I have come to me that were going to UMMC. Some of the outcomes. I haven't had a negative outcome yet in terms of just, oh my gosh. two employees that were going to UMMC for some pretty intense medical conditions. They fall under what's called continuity of care, where UMCC recognizes, hey, this patient's been coming here a while. Blue Cross says, yes, they have. They're paid in-network charges, and they haven't been affected. I had one employee who came to me, and I'm not going to state his condition, but it was a condition that had not manifested. The potential for this disease was within his body, and he was going to Jackson, I think 3 or 4 times a year, getting his blood checked to make sure this disease did not manifest. And he came to see me, and I said, you should fall under continuity of care. What's your physician's name? I got his name, I got the name. I asked him to sign a HIPAA document for me so that I could send it to the doctor so they understood they could talk to me. This all took 2 or 3 days. It didn't take long.
Mr. Parker, we are on limited.
Okay.
With a lot of.
At any rate,
I'm
this
sorry.
guy, we found out he could have just been getting a blood test. That's all he needed. So he'd been traveling to Jackson and we got it resolved. Okay, I'm sorry. I did get that.
That's okay.
And let's move on to the employee dependent claim summary, October of 21 through July. And you can see there that the charges have gone up. We're expecting some other charges. So in essence, the 7% rate increase, I don't feel like it's totally out of line, considering the fact we've got some other claims coming up, some bigger claims with some people that are ill. And on one last note, the healthy utilization, and this is an observation, 20 through 10/20 through 9/30/21, we had low utilization of the healthy U. I thought that would pick up for October 1 through July. It has not, and that's something Ms. Deason and I are going to try to encourage employees with at open enrollment for everyone to get their healthy U, and that's another subject I'd like to discuss further at another time. Thank you.
You know, really just the bottom line is doing really well, and you're doing a great job for us, and we appreciate that. And also, in this, your 3rd year, Mr. Parker, you haven't asked for an increase in your commission, and we appreciate that. Alderman, before we entertain, we need a motion. Give me a minute. And we need a motion before we can entertain discussion. The motion would be that we approve the renewal of the city's health insurance plan for another year.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by
Second.
Alderman Dillard. Now discussion, Alderman Dillard.
Fred, if you would, and I got all that presentation, and I love numbers, so we could go back and forth. But Mr. Mayor, what are we looking at in increased payments on the city's part of our premiums? I guess if I could ask you that.
That's a moving question, and I think and that's why you see that 7%, because we do see some bigger claims coming up. So it's hard to pin a tail on that, don't we?
How about a simple, what are they currently?
Currently, we are budgeting just over 1.5. That was well over budgeted. And so we're actually reducing that slightly, which we still anticipate will be, a safe high number.
So as far as budgeting purposes, which is the things that we're getting ready to do, we have sufficient budgeted resources for this. And in fact, that number won't change from this year to the fiscal 23. Am I hearing you correctly?
There's slight changes. Like you said, it's a moving number. Okay. But when Mr. Parker and I spoke, the numbers that we were talking about, we have well covered with the budgeted numbers.
Okay.
And like I said, there's a little bit of a cushion built in with the anticipation of
Perfect.
some of these larger claims.
That's good news.
Mr.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman Hall.
Mr. Parker, this is outstanding report, thank you. And if any employees have any questions, they can just come to you personally instead of.
They do
It's a
come to me,
public forum.
which is what I want.
But I would also like to say, Mr. Mayor, it looks as if we have an outstanding savings, almost $2 million. With
Well-
charges relative to.
Actually, around $1 million over,
Around $1 million.
we're entering our third year. And if you calculate it, we are actually, this year will surpass $1 million in savings since the fall of 2020. Thank you. Alderman Frazier.
Where are we now in the budget with this insurance? Can you tell me that?
Right now, we are currently coming in under what we budgeted for the current fiscal year. And so we were able to reduce that budgeted amount moving into fiscal year 23. And we feel that we still have a safe buffer built in.
You don't have the numbers.
I don't have, I wasn't prepared to bring exact numbers tonight.
Let me get the numbers. Let me see where we at.
Certainly. Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Any further discussion? I do want to say this. It is not anticipated that the cost to the employees will go up one iota. Being that we are doing so well that we consistently now are coming in under budget each year, and the fact that it's entering in the third year, only going up 7% on that reinsurance premium, a total of $17,000. I believe the city can afford to take that without passing that along to the employee. So, and this is something to celebrate. We just sit here, but realize this is not the norm in other cities, and it's not the norm across the country. Everyone knows that medical inflation, especially in today's market, is a real reality. And in fact, it is affecting governments and businesses and households, families all across our country. So this is very good news for Natchez tonight. The motion is on the floor. I'll call for the question. We'll second.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it with 2 absent.
And George, in your city.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. You've been fantastic for us. We now will move to Mr. Robert Purnell. Promise you we're going to get to those minutes in a minute, but Mr. Purnell's been patiently waiting, and then we'll get to the cemetery after this. Mr. Purnell, you've done amazing things for the city, and we appreciate your leadership so much with our Natchez U.S. Colored Troops Monument. We have an exciting step now to make, and that is, and it's really just a cursory approval of an agreement with an artist that has been selected. An RFP process was followed. Proposals were submitted. A committee of the U.S. Colored Troop Monument committee members reviewed these, and you have already approved on your end and asking now the city, just so we can put a bookend on the RFP process to support that approval.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. I have Mr. Lance Harris with me. He chaired the Monument Committee. And so we, as you stated, we went through the process. We put out RFPQ. We went out all over the country. We got 10 proposals back. And the subcommittee, which Mr. Harris chairs, voted unanimously on this one contractor, Ms. Horn. And we used the same mechanism that we use when we pick the site, which is the committee members would vote for every contractor, and then at the end, whoever had the larger amount, that's who they went with. Once they did that, then it came back to the full committee the very next month. It came back to the full committee, and last month the full committee also voted unanimously on a contractor, Mr. Warren. So we have a short slide presentation to show you some of his work. And the reason we're really high on this is because he not only want to work with us, but he kind of went down on his price so we can get this started. This picture is a emancipation. This is, I can't even see it.
Is it blurry? The Emancipation and Freedom Monument, Richmond,
Right,
Virginia.
Freedom Monument. But basically, he described, and I can't read this, but I don't know if you guys can.
We can read it, yeah.
What he do, how he researched and what he does to come up with these monuments. I can see that it's 18 feet by 14 and 12. Let me do this.
Oh, it's, Mr. Purnell, the pictures speak for themselves.
Okay.
You don't have to go into all of the detail.
Okay, so.
Absolutely beautiful.
So Mr. Harris has been working with the contractor on the contract itself. And he's here and he can come up and explain some of that. Can we do another slide? So that is one of Martin Luther King for Newark, New Jersey. This particular contractor is from Mississippi. As a matter of fact, right down the road there. So he's familiar with it. He seems excited about it. This one he did. This is Rosa Park. So he do a lot of research and then come up with a monument. He's going to be here. He's going to come here twice. Mr. Harris. And so, but right now it's just the board. We're asking the board to approve having this contractor, and then we'll move forward from there. Mr. Harris.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and board. Thank you for giving us some time this evening. Just a quick recap of what we've discussed so far. This monument design subcommittee came out with our RFP earlier this year, was in the spring. Finally, we whittled it down. And in the process, it was released on May 13th, and as Chanel said, we got 10 excellent submittals from across the country, all the way from the deep south to the Midwest, East Coast to West Coast. We did some extensive research on these individuals and firms that submitted, of course, we looked at their proposals as well, too. And again, the subcommittee unanimously came back with working with Warren Sculpture Studios. Mr. Jacob Warren was born in Vicksburg, Mississippi. He grew up in the Mississippi Delta. He attended Mississippi College. He's won numerous occasions, awards and commendations, not just in the United States, but in Canada as well. I think I speak for the whole committee that we're very excited about continuing our work with them. As part of our process, where we're currently at right now is we have developed a contract that's in review, which we would like to execute. It just so happens that we have enough in the USCT bank account that's all about the community alliance. We essentially have enough money to do this first phase now. As part of this process, what this contract is for essentially three things: project discovery, conceptual designs, and schematic designs. So that does not include as-built drawings, does not include construction documents, does not include full-scale artwork, does not include construction costs. It merely is to get these first conceptual and schematic designs down. The process for doing that would become two matches within the team, meet with you, or wherever the representatives are from the city, as well as the committee and public engagement meetings, as well as citizens as far as, and then the team can get input from the city, the community, and the Senate community on what they would like to see in this monument. Then they'll go away, do their work, come back for another meeting, meet the same groups of people, and then finalize their deliverables. The ultimate goal for the deliverables is to have a product in hand that can be utilized for fundraising efforts, which would include artistic renderings, and it would also include cost estimation to get the entire project done. So that would be cost for architectural fees, construction documents, and construction costs themselves. So that's where we're at. I'm happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
All right, open for discussion, questions. This is just really a cursory approval. The funds are actually coming from the donations that have been received. No city funds are being expended on this stage of the project, but it's an effort that and we're very grateful to the committee in wanting to keep the city informed of their progress. Yes, Alderwoman Irving, did you have a question?
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to make a comment.
Yes.
I've seen those monuments in other locations, and I think that's great that we have one here in the city of Natchez representing the monument for the color troop. I really think that is, and I guess the question at the on our phone, what is it, the Q code? Would that be available too with this monument?
Yeah, you're talking about the time looper? Yes. Yeah, that's gonna be part of what we have, so it can tell the story. Yes. So that, you know, those who are visiting, it'll be a Q code, sort of like what's on the Proud to Take a Stand monument.
Yes, that's great.
But hopefully it'll be a little bit more perfected by it.
So this is a great project, and thank you all for all that you've done to make this come to fruition. Thank you.
Alderman Dillard?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. One, Mr. Attorney, have you had a chance to read through this?
I have, and actually the city's just approving this contract. We're not executing it.
The other question, Mr. Harris, you know, and I'm looking through here, you know, not only is there the monument, but usually there's a plinth or a base or something that it has. Does this include that?
So again, this first phase will be essentially design work. And really there's no design yet. So those type of things will be discussed primarily among essentially the community stakeholders. I certainly anticipate the city officials being heavily involved in those discussions with the artist and his team.
Let me restate the question. You know, it's like with a building, it has to be sited. You can have a world award-winning designer, but eventually the building, or in this case, a monument, it's going to have to be sited. And we found that out in other monuments that we put in later on, that there would be electrical, or there'd be landscaping, or there'd be an additional bench, or there'd be, you know, these sort of things. Does this scope of work, I have a feeling it really has to do with the sculptural artistic effects. Will it include those siting requirements?
It will include that as part of the team that Mr. Warren has put together. Are architects and landscape architects and construction specialists as well too. So by the time this first phase of the project, which is designed to be about a 12-week project, we should have site plans in hand, schematic designs, artistic renderings as well.
One last one. This is really great. And the scale model, I can't wait to see that.
Me too.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
This is outstanding for a first phase of this monument that's going to be put on the northern end of the block. Thank y'all very much.
All right, any further? We'll call for the question.
We didn't have a motion, Mr. Mayor.
I thought we
No.
had the
You
motion.
said you didn't need to.
Alderman, I need a motion.
I move that we accept this author and artist
Thank you.
artist for the first phase of the design of the U.S. Colored Troops Monument.
Thank you, Alderwoman
Second.
Hall. Seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Now I'll call for the question.
Call.
And we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. And let the record show 2 absent. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you for all of your hard work. We look forward to the next step. I just want to make everyone aware that we are at 8 o'clock on the clock, and we still have so much business to do. Obviously, we're getting a lot done, but we've got to do it a little faster. So we're now going to recognize Alderwoman Hall, who is going to make an introduction for a discussion regarding the cemetery. Alderwoman Hall?
Yes, sir. Our cemetery is a monumental cemetery. It was established in 1866, and it is on the National Register of Historic Places. We do have a city cemetery association, which is also known in our code charter as the Preservation Improvement Association, and they are given the power to maintain and hire staff for the preservation and maintenance of this historical piece of property, which is owned by the city. And we're very grateful to the volunteers who do this. They are a 26-member body, board members who volunteer their services to maintain and preserve the historical integrity of this piece of property. They have come before us tonight because they have been presented with a very generous donation to the City Cemetery Association, specifically designated for the use to build a new barn on the city property. I think it's very important that the city listen to this presentation, and now we'll entertain a motion after Ms. Liz D'Antone gives her presentation.
All right, thank you. Ms. D'Antone, you're recognized, and we want to thank all of the.
Mr. Mayor, would like to
We gotta get a
make
motion for let her speak.
No, she's on the,
agenda.
she's on the agenda. This
Mr. Mayor,
is
one
the,
thing I would like to state before this, the city does allocate $84,000 annually to this association, and that's by law, we do that. For the, specifically for salaries of 5 full-time employees, the sexton, who is the director, and 3 part-time employees, as well as their insurance, and for the maintenance of that cemetery. That's where all the funds go. The volunteers are not paid.
I do want to say, we have had an omission on the agenda. Ms. D'Antone was supposed to be listed because she is the one who was on behalf of the Cemetery Association to make this motion, make this presentation.
That's correct.
However, her name is not actually on the agenda, so I'm going to entertain a motion by Alderman Frazier to allow her to speak, because she isn't actually listed on the agenda. And that's our oversight.
That's our oversight.
Alderman Frazier, you make the motion.
I'd like to make a motion that Ms. D'Antone be able to speak on behalf of Natchez Cemetery Association.
Thank you. Seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Any discussion on the motion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Ms. D'Antone, you're now recognized.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. Next slide, Dustin. My name is Liz D'Antone, and I serve as a member on the board of directors for the Cemetery Association. Here with me are our board president, Terry Stutzman, and several other members. The few of us here remaining in the chambers tonight are also members of the board. Next slide. This cemetery, the next slide. Yes, this cemetery was established in 1822, and we are celebrating our 200th year anniversary. It started as 10 acres. It's now 100 acres. Next slide. The day-to-day operations of the maintenance and preservation of the cemetery was transferred to the Cemetery Association in 1908. And since that time, these responsibilities have included all of the services associated with historical burial areas like you see here. Next slide. Historic public grounds. There are also burial areas. And next slide, our current burial areas. Next slide. All of this management occurs from our shelter house, which is our management office, but the operations of the cemetery our headquarters in our maintenance barn. Next slide. So the Cemetery Association has come before this Board of Aldermen many, many times to ask for support, ask for money, ask for services, and ask for staff expertise, but today is different. Today is very different. A generous donation has been offered to the Cemetery Association specifically to build a new barn. And this donation is from the estate of Mrs. Grace Manning in the amount of up to $400,000. Mrs. Manning was a woman with appreciation of the sacredness and civic importance of our city's cemetery and recognition of the hardworking employees, so we are very grateful for this donation. The Cemetery Association was contacted by a representative of her estate, the estate executor, and continued to be in contact with this. And we are here to request your endorsement of a plan to help make this happen. Next slide. The existing maintenance barn was constructed about 100 years ago, and it has been expanded in a haphazard way. It is too small to house the equipment and supplies necessary to main the 100 acres. Although it is considered a somewhat historic building, it's not really a very functional building, and a replacement building is the way to go because the ongoing burial services and grounds maintenance in the cemetery need to continue to happen no matter what. Next slide. So that these people can continue to do their work 7 days a week. Next slide. The city of Natchez owns the land of the cemetery that has not been sold for burial sites. So what that means is it's the roads, it's the bayous, it's the open space that has not yet been sold, and it includes this particular area of green grass that you see, which when you enter the first entrance into the cemetery is forward of the existing maintenance barn and on your right. It is a size that we deem large enough, and it is the proposed new site. The city owns this land. Next slide. From this first entrance, this is what you see though. So when the crepe myrtles are leafed out and blooming, it's not even really a sight you see when you enter that first entrance. Next slide. But when you turn right and go down the hill into the McPherson and the hospital sections, you will be able to see this site. And that's why the aesthetics of the building are of concern to our organization. So board members have met with Mayor Gibson, City Attorney Mr. Callaway, Mr. Richard Burke, and also Alderwoman Valencia Hall in various ways. And a strategy has been identified that could enable the project to proceed in a timely manner. And it's simple. Basically, number one, the estate of Mrs. Manning contracts for the design and the construction of the new maintenance barn. Not the city, not the Cemetery Association. The estate contracts for that work. The Cemetery Association manages this design process because we know what the cemetery needs. But yet the estate has the oversight for the disbursement of the monies to the consultants and also the contractor when the time comes. And number two, upon completion of the construction and the standard reviews and approvals and certificates of occupancy and all those things that are normal with the building process, that the city would accept the donation of this building as a gift from the estate. The process is similar to other things that have occurred. Community Alliance has been a funnel for dollars for various organizations. The Overlook on the lower trail, the Parchman Monument, and eventually this U.S. Colored Troops Monument. So it's a similar process, except that this is a big project, $400,000. And so the cemetery and also the estate would like to have this sort of preliminary understanding and assurance and assurance from the city that yes, you're a partner in moving this forward. The Board of Aldermen endorsing this plan will enable this building design and construction to proceed relatively quickly because we have the freedom to proceed as a committee as opposed to a city that has to go through public bidding and all of this other stuff. And we won't also burden the city employees with yet another project because there is an awful lot going on in the city right now. So, for example, the Cemetery Association has already identified this potential site that I shared with you. We've reviewed the building program of space needs. We've reviewed the budget of construction costs and consultant costs. We've interviewed architects, and we've decided on our own Waycaster and Associates to design this building. So we ask for the endorsement of this plan tonight. The sizable donation, I think, is important to the community as a whole. And we just ask you to consider this and accept this gift in the future. And benefit the community as a whole. So this is my last slide. I go back to the original gate into the first main gate, and I'm available to answer any of your questions.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a
Yes,
motion.
Alderwoman Hall.
I move to support the efforts of the Grace Manning Estate and the Natchez Cemetery Association to construct a new maintenance barn to be located on city-owned property in the Natchez City Cemetery. This is subject to approval by the City of Natchez Preservation Commission and the Mississippi Department of Archives and History. It's also subject to issuance of the City of Natchez building permit, a certificate of occupancy, and construction completion. And once this is completed, the Board of Aldermen will own this building.
And could I ask you to add to your motion that the permit fees and any other fees that would be billable by the city be waived?
Yes, sir, I'm going to put that into my motion.
All right, the motion has been made. Is there a second? Thank you. Alderman Frazier has seconded the motion. We'll have discussion.
Yes.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
Is that bill gonna cost $400,000?
Alderman Frazier, let me assure you that I am stunned at what current building construction costs are.
For $400,000?
And what we have as a replacement barn includes a portion of the property, a portion of the building would be just simply equipment, storage space, equipment, large equipment, small equipment, and all the other materials. Plus, the employees need a fully functioning bathroom, a place to eat lunch, a small kitchen, and a space that has additional lockers for their use, essentially some sort of a break room, and additional storage. And in today's building construction per foot costs, now some of that building would be air conditioned and heated, not all of it. But based on input from the architect and also my discussions with contractors, even before I talked to an architect, $400,000 as a budget for perhaps a 2,700 square foot building is going to be okay, but a stretch.
You know, it's
Alderman Frazier still has.
I don't mean to sound argumentative, but for $400,000, I think you get the better building than some of the buildings we're gonna be building. It's for $400,000. But here's another question. I think that where that position is that towards like going towards Thompson School or that football field on that way so you can buy back over there.
Oh, no, sir, it's not anywhere near that.
Not
far.
there.
It's still well within the grounds of the cemetery and adjacent to sections where it's practically right next to the existing maintenance barn.
Okay.
Just
So-
forward of it, yeah.
So you're gonna keep both barns because the old barn, I know because it look like it's
Oh, I
100 years
have
old.
great ideas perhaps for the future of the old barn because it too can be considered historic. But we've got to get our good men and all of that equipment safely and securely relocated and in a building that's designed to today's safety standards as well. And then I will start doing something fun with that other building.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, I have been inside the current barn. It is not conducive for the maintenance workers to be in that building. It will be considered a condemned building. It is not safe for them. It is not a healthy environment. I've seen their small bathroom facility without a sink. I have seen where they store their food and their drink. It's not a healthy environment. I have seen the small section that they have that particular piece of equipment or one similar to that in the same building that's next to their break room that does not have chairs nor benches for them to sit in. This building needs to be replaced, and we would be remiss not to allow the association to accept this donation from the estate of Miss Manning in order for them to do what they are entrusted to do by the state, to maintain a burial ground, which is a sacred ground, to upkeep this historic property, and to care for the employees, which they do pay for.
Thank you.
May I just add something, Alderman
Yes,
Frazier?
Ms. Denton.
I have to tell you that this board of directors, we pinch every penny. And so we're going to squeeze as much building as we can out of this generous donation.
I've been in objection to that, but, I was just saying, that if you have a little extra money, you can do something else extra in the cemetery.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why I actually, that's why I asked you $400,000, but
It's not
you
even
can do
this
something
cemetery.
else, yeah, with the cemetery. Okay. I don't have any problems with anything, and I'm quite, I'm quite aware of what they need over there. Like she said earlier about the facilities over there, and you can look at the building, see it's 100 years old, like they do need something over there.
I'd like to add to what
Alderwoman
I was sharing. Ms. Coffin is the secretary of this cemetery association. I do have their financial report that I will include in the minutes, that will be put into the minutes. Their total income from June 21 through May of 22 is $319,000, $323.35. Their total expenses are $366,517.30, with a loss of $47,193.95. This also includes in their expenses, the $84,000 that we allocate to them yearly, which they get through us at $7,000 per month. Part of their income, a part of their expenses goes also to salaries, to the director, the 5-time city employees, the 3 part-time city employees, and their insurance. The approximate payroll is $14,284 per month. And again, our city appropriations are $7,000 per month. They need a building. They've been given the money to build a barn, which the money is designated specifically for a new maintenance barn for the safety of these employees, in order for them to maintain the property, as I stated,
Thank you.
and to provide for sacred burial grounds. That's their job, which is outlined through the state.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I
Yes,
just want to make a
Alderwoman Irving.
comment, thanking them for making the improvements for the employees and everyone that's out there working on a daily basis. I've heard the stories from the employees and it's much needed. So thank God also putting in their family members' heart to make that donation as well.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
that's
We are very grateful. And it also should be noted that for the monies that the city donates to this cemetery operation, it's more than added to by private donations. And we're very grateful for the generosity of all who give to the cemetery to see this upkeep. The city's obviously getting a great return on our investment of the $7,000 per month. I will now call for the question.
Call.
Second?
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it with 2 absent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. D'Antoni.
Thank you.
And thank you, all
Thank all
of
of
you.
you.
We appreciate all you do.
Is that Miss Sam?
Ms. Stutzman and all of your board, thank you. I will at this moment, though, entertain a quick motion. Alderwoman Hall, we need a motion to spread the financials on the minutes that you just presented.
Yes, sir. I'd like to move that the financial report given to me by the treasurer, Ms. Gina Coffin of the Natchez City Cemetery Association be included in our minutes.
Is there a second? Second. All right, Alderman Frazier has seconded that. We will call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it with 2 absent. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much. Y'all, Mr. Strader, if he's here hiding behind the column, he may have given. Well, you know what? He was going to be the next one I got to, and I'm still going to bring that up. It's actually under my report, but let's go ahead and take care of that. Yeah. Y'all, we had a request from the Waterworks Board to appoint a new member. This new member would be to fill a vacancy for the unexpired term of a deceased member, Pam Murphy, which expires on June 30th, 2024. There are criteria for the board members available time-wise for the meetings. No conflict, business-wise, no conflict with a spouse, family member working in the department. Understanding that they cannot do business as a contractor, business provider with Natchez Waterworks. Competent from a standpoint of education experience, citizen of the city of Natchez, team player, nonpartisan, no agenda, and then also following these qualifications in the code, each member shall be of high character, integrity, business capacity, a householder, taxpayer of the city. There are a number of individuals that the water commissioners reached out to. They provided 3 to the city, 2 withdrew, leaving only 1. And his name, Bob Strader, or Mr. Robert Strader. He has met with the majority of the board members, and today he interviewed with myself and also Alderman Frazier, who is the chairman of Public Utilities. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to appoint Mr. Strader to fill this term, this unexpired term for the Waterworks Board.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that Mr. Strader be accepted as a member of the Board of Water Commission for the city of Natchez.
Thank you. Alderman Frazier has made the motion. Alderwoman Irving has seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
As the mayor, as you stated earlier, myself and, so just letting everyone know, myself and the mayor talked to Mr. Strader, who was very interested in the job. And after talking to him, come to find out Mr. Strader gonna be on the board. He has some background in biology and everything. He's committed to working with each and every member of the board. So, and also he became highly recommended from one of our outstanding citizens who had been in city government for a while and knows in and out of city government. And that is one of the reasons why I cast my vote for Mr. Strader, because of this individual too. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier, and you said it very well there. It's my understanding Mr. Strader is retired as director of St. Catherine Natural Refuge. He has a real passion for the environment, a real passion for delivering that clean water to the city. And also, yes, I agree with you, Alderman Frazier, 100%. Any other discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in, do we need to do this by roll call?
Probably.
Yes. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it with 2 absent. Motion carries. Thank you so much. My goodness, Mr. Johnson, we're going to get to you, and then Mr. Dollar. You've been very long-suffering, patient with us. Mr. Johnson, you're recognized.
And alert.
And alert.
I'm gonna do the minutes.
We will get those done, but I don't want to hold them any longer. We can do that this evening.
Is it evening or is it night?
What's that?
Is it technically evening or night? I believe my report was cut and pasted to some degree on the agenda with a couple of small changes. So it is on the agenda. Cleaning of illegal dump sites, the swag grant which we apply on an annual basis. Staff has requested a motion to prepare and submit a swag application for planning consideration to DEQ to clean illegal dump sites. Applications are due on or before October the 1st.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderman Frazier. Discussion on the motion. We'll call for the question. We'll move to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it with 2 absent. Motion carries. Next item.
I need to remove the second item from my report for this evening and come back to it at a later date. Next item, Natchez Dairy Canteen Building.
Mr. Johnson, can you explain why?
Something came up today.
Okay. Well, we'll remove that. Yes, next item.
Natchez Dairy Canteen Building, 2022 general obligation for public buildings. Staff is requesting a motion to enter a professional services contract with Wakehurst & Associates for design phase construction administration totaling $12,000 to ready the building for the Natchez Recreation Department and public use. Fund budgeted total $100,000.
Motion. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Second. Do I have a second? This is an item under our bond.
Who says this?
Yes, Alderman Dillard has seconded the motion. I want to point out something. 100,000 is the budget amount. Any proposal, Alderman Dillard, I'd like to call on you to explain that a little further. As a point, you as an architect, you know so well, explain, we can't go over 100,000.
I was wondering where you were going with that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, Mr. Johnson's aware of that, and working with the state, I think there was a statute, but I know the state adhered to it, that if your bids go over a 10% margin of any recognized or adopted budget, then you don't even consider it. You have to rebid it or don't do it at all. And that may not be a requirement, maybe it is, but in any case, it certainly is a good model to follow. But, and I'm sure Mr. Johnson is going to be keenly aware of my attention to that. But I would, before we get there, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to see some of these contracts. Does the attorney have this proposal?
I always send the contract to the attorney, yes, sir.
Have you reviewed this contract proposal already?
Well, that one hasn't come. I mean, it'll be the standard AIA contract. I have a draft format.
Well, then certainly that warrants the wording, per the attorney's review and recommendations to approve. I mean, it's pretty easy math. It's 12%. It's not hard to figure that part of it out, but we do need to know what's included and what's not included there in these projects, Mr. Mayor. We all assume that this is going to be full architectural services. The things that there would be included would be closeout documents, any kind of, as-built. And there's stipulations, and you would be advised to be aware of that. So it makes these projects more successful and sustainable afterwards. So having said all that, I've now made my comment.
Thank you.
And I will add that to the motion.
Yes. Alderwoman Hall, will you add that to your motion?
Per the
Per
attorney's
attorney's final review. Yes. And,
Did he not review, oh, you said he reviewed the contract.
He has reviewed similar Lancaster contracts in the past.
That was
This
his-
one will be of the same making, but it will be sent to him, yes, ma'am.
okay. And that motion was seconded by,
Six.
so, and you, all right. So the motion does now include that the attorney will, all right. Further discussion. Will,
All the questions.
all right, question's been called. Second, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 2 absent. Yes, sir.
Clear Street Landing and Seawall Cleanup at the August 9th meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen. The low bid of Thorpe Sheet Metal Inc. was accepted to complete the requested scope of work. To be in compliance with section 21, 27, 27 of this code, staff is requesting a motion to include the cost of water for the needed pressure washing to the contractor's bid, with the cost being determined upon the completion of the contract and upon submission of the needed documentation from the contractor, per Mr. Brown and Mr. Callaway.
All right. Are we going to take this in 2 motions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion. This is simply just to allow them access to
So
water at our cost. The motion has been made by Alderwoman Hall,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Dillard. Discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
The cost of water, is that,
Primarily the tapping fee, about $175. And so this would be reimbursed to the contractor because this is a city project, but the Waterworks cannot waive that fee. And a long discussion.
okay, so that'll be included in the contract and it'll be a fee to the city.
The contractor will pay and be reimbursed for it, Mr. Dillard, basically.
Okay, I'm a little confused then, because the next line, it goes in there that we're gonna waive the $175.
We're waiving it, but I mean, we're gonna be basically reimbursing him, but I think he's already paid it, so it's gonna be a net zero.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And we're going to add the cost of the
Yes.
water too. Yes.
sir.
I'll call for the question.
Called.
We'll proceed to a second.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There is one nay. Let's do a roll call. Alderwoman
Aye.
Hall, Alderman Frazier, Alderwoman Irving,
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it with 1 nay and 2 absent. Thank you. Next,
Again, the second part of that, staff is requesting a motion to waive the cost of the $175 water tap fee for this project.
was a pleasure of the board. Do we
I'm
need a
sorry,
motion?
I'm gonna make the motion.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Dillard is seconded. Discussion. We'll call for the question.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We'll have a roll call vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it, 3 with 2 absent and 1 against. Motion does carry. Next item.
Yes, sir. Duncan Park Golf Pro Shop, 2021 general obligation for recreation. Staff is requesting a motion to enter into a professional service contract with Belinda Stewart Architects. I made a typo. I mistakenly put Feltus Hawkins for design and construction administration for Phase 1 and Phase 1B totaling $109,750. And you see listed here, proposed construction budget, including contingencies, millwork, and FF&E totals just over $1 million, per the review and approval of the attorney.
So
Okay.
moved.
Pleasure of the board. Alderwoman Hall has made the motion to approve. Second. Alderman Dillard has seconded. Discussion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
Okay, now, one, are these on file? And I would like to review some of these contracts as we go
Yeah,
forward.
well, definitely, Mr.
And it's kind of stipulated like that because, again, there are terms and conditions in here that make a difference in here. For example, in this case, it's talking about contingency, millwork, and FF&E.
Furniture, fixture, and equipment is how they word it in. And you saw the plan from May. I mean, that's how they broke down their budget, you know, FF&E and millwork, that came directly from that.
Well, I mean, and then as I'm reading it here, for $1,031,000, this project will include furnishings, and equipment.
According to their budget, you know, that's what they have budgeted for it, yes, sir, but that's budgeting for it. I mean, you'll receive bids, it may be higher, it may be less, but that's what is being budgeted.
All right, but I mean, it's under Belinda Stewart's
Yes.
umbrella.
Yes, sir. It
So
is.
if,
Belinda Stewart or Feltus Hawkins Design, yes.
you can't say or, because see, now they get something else.
That, I mean, Feltus Hawkins Design is under Belinda Stewart's contract.
Right, and Feltus Hawkins Design should be paid under
Correct.
Belinda Stewart's contract. So any amounts paid to, it's like a subcontract.
That is correct.
I know, but we need to know that the claim doesn't come out that way. So be careful with.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, you know, I mean, if it comes, you know, to me for coding and everything, yes, I'm well aware of that. I mean, we do not process invoices from Feltus Hawkins. We do not. I do.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Dillard, thank you. Alderwoman Irving.
So nothing, the entire amount of this project will be $1 million, nothing
That is
exceeds it.
budgeted.
Okay,
Well,
so
yeah.
then,
And
We
this,
haven't received bids yet. There's a difference. So
Right.
that's what they have budgeted at.
so it's
It may
like
be
it
higher,
said,
it may be lower, okay, I got you, James.
we can't exceed
I'm
that.
talking, okay, okay,
Alderwoman, do you have anything further?
no, that answers my
Okay.
question.
Alderwoman Hall?
It's outlined here, we're doing this in phases, it says phase 1 and 2.
Right, that's what we were
Right, so I'm just
too, yes.
clarifying this for the board, we're saying.
Oh,
phase-
I'm sorry, well, I don't know.
I read that, but I just want to make sure that.
Right,
that amount-
right.
Right. This
And
is
just
based on
like
the questions we're getting.
we just said, with the way things are going,
Because I know the.
they gotta stay within that budget,
Stay within the budget.
because we aren't gonna do any more above budget items. That's it, that's the money.
And each meeting the recreation committee had, we've been talking about the phases and the cost,
Yes.
and who's doing what.
Yeah, and I've been talking extensively, you know, with Ms. McKenzie in regard to this as well, yes.
Correct. Well, we
So
had a meeting.
we're all on the same page, right, Megan?
All right, all right. We will now, call for the question.
Called.
Second, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries with two absent. Thank you. You know, it's significant to say that we're now proceeding with our plans to restore the golf clubhouse, just as we've done with the youth center. We're making progress, and also the canteen. So things are moving. Mr. Dollar, oh my goodness. And I know you have an early day starting in the morning. We won't hold you too long. Mr. Dollar. And then we've got Chief Daughtry hanging out back there.
Good evening, Mayor and Board.
Yes, sir.
The first thing that was on the agenda under my report was approval of easement between 423 and 425 Cherry Street. I spoke with the city attorney today, and we're going to remove that from the agenda. There's some things that need to be addressed prior to bringing that before the board.
I think we're going to postpone that one. All right. All right, then the next item.
Next was the discussion of $6 million go bond for street repairs. I think, remember, some things you wanted me to discuss. I'm not sure.
Yes, everyone was handed a list last board meeting.
Yes.
We are now needing to move very quickly toward input on that list. And I believe we're going to need to schedule a meeting very soon, a work session, where we will go through that list and we will begin to finalize just what streets we're going to do within the 6 million. Also, we are going to need to move very quickly toward a meeting with the county because they also are doing a $6 million bond, and we'd like to be able to work jointly with them and moving forward for better pricing for both the city and the county. A $6 million project won't get as competitive pricing as a $12 million overall project. Now, with that said, we don't need a motion at this moment. We just need some discussion so that we can start moving forward with our plans. Yes. Alderwoman Hall, you had your hand up, and then Alderwoman.
Yes, sir.
Well, if you would allow me, Alderwoman Irving is actually chairwoman of the street committee. She was speaking at the same time you were asking. I'd like to recognize her at this moment, and then we'll come to you, Alderwoman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to ask, we had a printed list from the previous list, and we're gonna get together and discuss what streets, but would that list to be the priority that we're going to use, or have we formulated a new way of how the streets are ranked?
No, it's still the same. The one that was printed, that was hand delivered to y'all at the last meeting, that is kind of their rankings based currently on the particular streets, how they are ranked. And that's the order they would go in unless the board comes back and says, of course, you don't want to, they want to go in a different route. But currently, yes, that is the format, and that particular list includes all city streets and FAU routes that are within our city. So it does not exclude any particular streets, even based on how they are ranked or how they are designated for that night.
Okay, thank you.
All are included in that.
Okay.
Alderwoman Hall?
I was just gonna say, I don't want us to wait for an infinite date on the county to decide if they want to do this jointly, because we've been waiting for this for a long time. We have some atrocious roads, and I just sent Mr. Dollar some pictures yesterday of holes that are now literally forming at some of these streets.
Yes.
So I don't think we need to wait for any.
No, we're going to move forward with them. It's my understanding they're about to move forward at the same pace. Now, if they don't, we're going to move forward with our pace. We have to get it done.
We have to get it done.
Any further discussion? Yes, Alderman Dillard.
The FAU, is there an FAU program that is still in place? I mean, I understand that there are certain streets with that designation, but the restrictions that go with it are, if they're not funding them, I don't see how they have the whatever to, impose their restrictions on it.
Right, and I know we've had this discussion, and certainly have had this discussion in the past. So the last time I've seen FAU funding on a particular street was when Ratcliffe Street was done. That was the last FAU, and that was
David Gardner.
14, 15, 16.
I mean, and there are a lot of streets in our center business district that are FAU.
Yeah, most all of our larger streets, classification streets here in the city of Natchez are designated FAU routes.
But again, what you just said, there hadn't been an award, an FAU award since.
A number of years, and we have submitted 2 letters, one under Mayor Vernell and one under Mayor Gibson here, in regards to seeking funding, if anything comes available, seeking funding in regards to FAU. And what we did then, I think we were seeking roughly about 900,000. We took the top streets, FAU routes that were on our index, and submitted those to them in the event that funding was ever, just to keep it on their radar. And we sent that to Commissioner King. But like I say, that's been, we've done that, going on 2 years now, and we've sent it twice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I would ask then that the aldermen work very hard over the next week or two on those lists, identifying the streets that really stand out to you and your wards. And then if you would, Mr. Dollar, would you communicate with my office tomorrow to begin setting up a work session that we can have in early September? We'll get past Labor Day, but we need to have that. We need to just have some meetings and then have the board come together in one special called, work session. And my goal would be by mid-September, we could be really refining our list. Because we have to refine the list first before we can go to the next step, which would be the bid.
Right, well, then that's just going to be, back up and say, I know many of you have worked on some of these overlay projects in the past. A project of this size, and speaking to our asphalt contractors, they're not going to move forward based on general bids as we've done in the past, which helps to move those projects along very quickly. Once we pick the particular streets that we're going to do, and we're able to move forward with that. The project of this size is going to take some design consultation with a engineering firm to kind of lay out a set of, lay out the scope, some bid documents. And that was one of the things in my conversation with the asphalt company, is that on a project this size, it's not gonna be like one of our regular, $200,000 or $300,000 projects that we've done in the past. And so that helped that project to move fast because it's kind of an in-house project. This, a project of this size is gonna take some time to get to that point. So, the earlier we start working towards it, certainly the better off we're gonna be. And not only that, in regards to also trying to get on the list of some of the asphalt contractors. If you'll recall, Mayor, in some of our early conversations, they were saying at that point that this year would probably almost be out of the question just because of some of the current projects they've already got on the books. And the sooner we can lock down something for moving into next spring, the better off we're gonna be before that calendar gets locked up as well.
Mr. Dollar. Yes, cost of materials, everything. We've got a lot to work on here. Mr. Dollar, when was the last time the city spent this much money on our streets at one time?
All the years ago.
Do I know?
All the years ago. They ain't never spent that much money.
I don't know that, I'm not aware of any time they've ever spent
They
this.
never
Now,
spent
I'll
it.
say in my time here with the city, I think the largest was maybe around 400,000 at one point, and then we did one at 300, one at 250, and then the last one we did, I think, was a $60,000 one, which was, of course, our smallest one that we've done. But somewhere in the range of 400 to 200 is kind of what they averaged over.
Wow.
We did that for about 4 or 5 straight years. Certainly going in the right direction at that time, and I will say that it's been, I think, 2 years now since the last time we did a overlay project, and so there's certainly a need. I know at that time I kind of ran some numbers just based on us spending $400,000 to $500,000 a year, and we were looking at about a 15-year turnaround from when we started. If we would have continued that for the next 15 years, to us getting back to the first street. And if you know anything about asphalt, now not to say that we don't have streets here that are over 15 years old, asphalt pavement, but normally that's exceeding the life expectancy of an asphalt street.
This is a real leap forward for us then. So Aldermen, Alderwomen, please work on your lists and be prepared for a meeting. And when that meeting will be set soon, we'll be aiming for that week after Labor Day. And we may have some one-on-one meetings and then get together in that special called work session, all of us at the same time. Yes, Alderman
I was
Frazier?
looking on here some of these streets. Some of these streets say concrete and asphalt. So are you going back with concrete on some of these streets?
Yeah, and that's something that I guess when we consult with engineer, we could look at. In a lot of cases, of course, asphalt is cheaper to do, concrete is more expensive. Now it depends on how we look at doing that. For instance, Louisville Road, if you remember several years ago, we did an in-house project where we went in there and we actually worked on doing sections. We took it section by section rather than tearing the entire road up. Of course, concrete, all of it's not bad. The only thing that you do particularly get if you go in there on a concrete street and you put asphalt over it is at every joint within 2 years, or normally within a year to two, you're going to start seeing that reflection in the asphalt. Therefore, it's not the best method to go about it. It is done, but normally it's not the best method.
Looking on it, because it's on, when I looked at the list here, I think it was over by Titan Tires on the streets over there. It's concrete. That's why I asked you that
So I
question.
think when we do that would be just like we did Louisville Road, or when Melrose Montebello was done. Actually, there was sections were outlined in there, and they were highlighted and marked, and that was instead of the whole street was looked at, but again, every section wasn't bad. And normally concrete's can be poured in say 10 by 10 or 10 by 20 squares, something of that nature on those particular streets. So you'd be doing 10 by 10 blocks when you do it. The next block may be good, and so you would identify them based on that. It's kind of how that particular one was done on Melrose Montebello.
Well, this has been a good discussion. I thank everyone for it. And Mr. Dollar, thank you for your work on this. Yes, sir.
Before you leave, I just want to say this right quick. It's been an ongoing situation. Can you please contact Ms. Owens up on Inez Street? She's been calling me about a street washing off. You know what I'm talking about, when you get to the top of the hill, Ms. Owens' house back down there. How far do the city go back down there? Do you know?
If you've been there, you'll kind of recall.
Oh, I've been there. I grew up over there.
I've been there numerous times, so I don't, this was something new. We've done quite a bit of work there. But if you go down that street, you'll see there's a pipe and kind of a berm that crosses the road, in which that berm was in place, is made out of asphalt to divert that water to the side. So roughly that's about where our right-of-way stops. So it doesn't go down to where she parks in that area. All that is not city.
Can you, talk to her? Cause like I say, she been calling me about it. And just see can you do me, just see what she got down there, please?
Thank you, Alderman. Thank you, Mr. Dollar. Next up, we're going to bring our police chief, Chief Daughtry. Yes, sir. Justin.
Oh,
Have a good,
I just want to ask you, could you look at, it is not a street, but it is an address, 115 Arlington Street? For grass cutting. Avenue, yes. 115 Arlington Avenue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you again, Mr. Dollar. Alderman, we're going to now introduce our honorable police chief. Chief Daughtry.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. It's been a long day. We were out last night, so we're going on hour number 20 of rolling. So I'll make this real quick. I want to turn in to our clerk weapons of forfeiture that has been signed over that we've had forfeited to the police department. The cases have been heard, shooting inside the city. We have a total of 6 9mm and 3 assault rifles. So I have the court clerks, the judge has signed it, the defendants have signed it, and make and model serial numbers to be added to our inventory. I'll give her a copy of that.
Move that we accept these weapons into inventory.
Thank you. Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Any discussion? We will call for the question.
Called.
Will second. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it with 2 absent. Thank you.
It was.
The other thing is, wrong date, October 15th through the 18th, the Chiefs Association, by me being the president, I'm required to go to the International Police Chiefs Association Conference in Texas. The association is going to pay for my registration and my room. All they're asking is that I'm allowed to drive my vehicle and per diem from the city.
Motion made by Alderman Dillard and seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion. We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Yes,
I just
Alderwoman Irving?
It's not pertaining to Chief. It was to the photo that was up there. Dustin, was it up there for any reason? Because I did want to make a comment on that.
Oh, well, I tell you, we'll take care of that when we get to Alderman reports. We're at that point right now. It was, I think, the fallen tree.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I saw.
We'll
It
get to
wasn't
that.
pertaining to you. It wasn't.
All right, we're at the city officials' reports. Alderwoman Hall, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. I would just like to say that, how important it is that although I have heard many criticisms of our Preservation Commission and the Mississippi Department of Archives and History personnel for their input and decisions on particular projects in our historic districts, that it's important to note that these people are doing their jobs and they are under the purview of the federal government and in particular, the Department of the Interior. And I want to express my thanks to them for their duty to fidelity in fulfilling their jobs and their positions. I thought it was important to make that statement on their behalf. And I participated in a ribbon cutting last Friday on the Natchez Bluff for the Natchez Pedal Cruiser, and then a block of pedaling tour by Captain Travis Isaac, the owner. And what an outstanding new endeavor. for tourism.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderwoman.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Alderman Frazier?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would just like to say, I received, I'm quite sure other board members received, I received an anonymous letter dealing with personnel issue at the Waterworks Company. And I just would like to say that the Water Board Commission addressed that anonymous letter, and the problem was cleared up. I attended a meeting with them, which was very interesting. And I got to know some of the commissioners that was on the board. That's the end of my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much, Alderman. We will now recognize you, Alderwoman Irving.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, I want to report that I attended the Colleen 50-year anniversary. I want to thank Dr. Barnes and her staff for the invitation. Also, thank the previous presidents of Colleen and their input, and Dr. Vance for her input as well. It was a great luncheon. Looking back at how successful how successful it has been having the NECA and Colleen, and how our students are excelling. One of the presidents stated that's one of the best decisions was to bring NECA to Colleen and make them a part of that institution. Also, it has been stated that NECA has been rated the #1 in the nation as for a dual enrollment program in the state of Mississippi, and that's wonderful to be a part of that. Also, I attended the Mississippi Policy Conference on this past week, and was in the presence of several people, but we were talking about broadband. I'm very interested in to see how the city will go about and making our improvements with our broadband. Learning that broadband is another utility bill here, whereas we need broadband to actually function. From the workplace to the schools, to the hospitals, every entity basically needs broadband. So I'm looking forward to working with improving our broadband here in the city of Natchez. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you.
Well, one other thing.
Oh, yes, we have.
That individual that was there, yes, sir. I just want to say, I received several calls about the tree falling,
Yes.
but only one employee from Public Works showed up. And so.
At first, and then we did get in touch and the others did.
So
come.
others did come?
Mhm, yes.
Okay.
Chief Arrington called me. We were able to get that taken care of.
Okay, and the reason why, it was just the fear that they had of one employee didn't know who was in the car, and that person dealing with the machinery and having to remove that off and not having anyone in close proximity to got him.
Right.
Okay.
And we're very grateful to our fire department for responding to that, as well as our police department, and then
And
Public
what-
Works. And it was not an easy thing to do on a Sunday afternoon.
No.
We're just so grateful.
Absolutely.
And I do want to just do a shout out. Mr. Eddie Gaines has been with our city a number of years.
Yes.
And he is always first to show up in these situations. And we really appreciate Mr. Gaines.
Mr. Mayor, I would also like to say that, I hear you say it over and over again, and I know we don't get along or agree with all things, but we do agree on some things, and this is one of them. Public Works should be considered first responders.
They should.
Because he's first on the scene to get these things removed, and you all assist as well. So we're just grateful for all that you all do.
I tell you, I agree.
Real quick, that picture that he showed earlier was from this morning. We had a tree fall.
Oh, y'all had another one? Okay.
Yes, we have one on
John Junkin Drive.
But we found out what we have a problem with. We got a good contact with MDOT. Dispatch is not sure who to contact or what roadway there, who clears what, whether it's the city or MDOT.
Okay.
So Chief Arrington and myself both have contacts for MDOT, direct cell phone numbers, and they live in the city.
Awesome.
So we have that, we won't take it wrong and get in contact with somebody.
Awesome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
I'm very glad you brought that up. Thank you, Alderwoman.
You're welcome.
Alderman Dillard, your report.
Mayor, I'm going to spare my time on report. I have more of a question on a claim and how we're doing this with the public property. So
Okay.
I'll yield that and then have an opportunity to
All
talk
right.
with the
I just have
clerk.
one more thing.
All
too,
right.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderwoman Hall? Yes.
Yes, last week I was asked to read at Morgantown School to several classes, and I appreciate the opportunity from the staff at Morgantown for inviting me to do that. And this is the second time that I've done that with Morgantown students.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, thank you. We will now move on to the city
Oh,
clerk's
sorry, not
report.
Morgantown, McLaurin.
McLaurin, let me,
Yes,
okay,
McLaurin.
McLaurin. People have to forgive us a little bit. We've
little
been here a
late.
while, 9 o'clock. But I must say, we've gotten a lot done. We're making history. But let's not make history with the longest board meeting. All right, city clerk, Madam Clerk, you're recognized. I think we're going to let you get approval of the minutes first.
Yes, so the first meeting or set of minutes for approval would be the July 26, 2022. It was a regular board meeting.
So moved.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion?
Question.
Question has been called. Second. We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Next set of minutes would be, it was a special called joint meeting with the Adams County Board of Supervisors. It was held on July 27th.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved. Second.
All right, the motion has been made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
It just, here, discussion need to be more detailed than information on the minutes. There were some things that were actually brought out that need to be, and it's for the purpose of future boards.
Mhm.
So they will actually know what discussion was actually held. It's very limited here. Some more discussion.
Yeah,
and
we
I'm
can
sure you
elaborate a little further.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
Call the question.
Okay, question's been called.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. And Alderman Frazier, we did vote to approve the minutes for July 26th. Are you in?
Yes, sir.
Is
I
your
walked
motion?
in, I walked in here.
Is your vote in the affirmative on that motion?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Sure. The last set of minutes would be for the special called meeting held on August 10th.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion?
And the same thing with these two meetings.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. We will now call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
No, I mean,
I know, we're tired, right?
yeah.
I'm going to repeat that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. I want to make this statement on minutes. We get feedback from the public. I want to say it is our intention to, as a courtesy, post minutes on our website. However, that is not a provision of state law. In fact, state law does not require a city to even have a website. But we use that website just for transparency. If there is anything missing there, it's not deliberate. There is no effort here to not be transparent. Sometimes things fall through the cracks. I have asked that we look into it so that we can update that wherever needed. It is true that we may have some minutes missing last year from during the transition period. I would like to ask you, Madam Clerk, to look into that. This would be before you came on board as our city clerk.
To be added.
And if that is the case, let's find that out and let's rectify that. Most definitely. I just wanted to make that make that statement. But I do want people to understand state law does not require a municipality to maintain a website, and it does not require a municipality to post certain things to a website, but we do that as a courtesy to our citizens, and we'll continue doing that.
Mr. Mayor, may I add
yes,
to that? I
Alderwoman
think it's
Hall.
important to state also that the minutes that were missing were completed by the city clerk
Mhm.
and approved by the board.
Oh,
They may
About
not
to
be on the
say, because they said
website,
they're
but we
current.
did. do
oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get them on the
They may not be
website.
on the website,
So
but they
there's
were,
not any
they were
question.
rectified
I would like to make sure
and
they're on the
approved by the
website.
board.
But I do know, I think there is a meeting from a while back during the transition of
No,
clerks.
they were caught
That
up.
we
She did
caught
catch them
up.
up. She
We
caught
wanna
them
make-
up.
okay.
And we
They
did
were all
approve
caught
them,
up.
and the
Okay.
board approved those.
I just want to make
Mhm.
sure.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, next item, Madam Clerk.
Okay, the next item is a request for approval of the 2nd August 2022 claims docket.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Frazier, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
Okay, I have a discussion beginning on page 25, and I know we've had this discussion before, but I see there's been one added.
Yes.
So it's with the lights, it's with Southwest, and it's kind of confusing to me. We're dealing with Entergy, and to my understanding, and I'm just questioning Southwest Mississippi Electric Power, that's the county. So
So
now we
we-
have two.
We have a couple of light poles that are right there on kind of their border where Southwest Mississippi EPA ends and Entergy picks up. Now, Mr. Dollar was able to verify that, I think the one that you keep seeing on here, is right there, in the Hills subdivision, kind of Southampton, that area. And I believe there's one other one out around Colin.
Okay.
That
'Cause that's the
is still within the city limits, but is right there on that border.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
Page 32, and this is the adjudicated properties demolition, and this is just a question primarily to the clerk, though. You know, the monies, I want to say it was from the sale of the old general hospitals that we set those across. Do those monies make their way back into public properties? Because here, the money's going out.
So, yes, the
That's a good
sale
question.
of the general hospital, we did deposit those monies into the 103 Public Properties
Okay.
account to be set aside to cover these demolition projects.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I'll
Alderman.
have one other question, but it'll be after the passage of this as it pertains, particularly, my question is not pertaining to these
Okay.
claims, Doctor.
All right, Alderwoman Irving.
Well, since you brought that up,
Yes.
this account 103,546, right?
Mhm.
That's the money that it's in. Well, it's nothing budget for that in that, in the budget status report.
So this was added after the current year's budget was adopted. So this
Okay.
was a motion that was made once the sale of the hospital was approved,
Mhm.
that those monies would go towards helping cover the cost of these demolition
Sure did.
projects.
Well, I knew that, but I just
So,
didn't see it in
so
the budget.
that's,
Okay.
that has been updated and those line items added on an as-need basis with those approvals.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you. Further
And I
discussion?
had that one as well.
We'll
I did
call,
tell her, to
we'll-
explain, she did
we'll
that.
call the question.
Thank you.
Call.
The question.
Second.
The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. I'd like to hear a more affirmative aye. Those who are in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those nay. Motion carries with 2 absent. You know, we're getting a little faint up here. Next item, Madam Clerk.
You hit that 200-minute hour.
I know.
Okay, the next item that I have, which is also the last item that I have for the night, is the request for approval for the 2nd August 2022 mini claims docket.
What's
So
the
moved.
pleasure?
Second.
Motion has been made by Alderman Dillard, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion? I'll call for the
Call.
question. The question's been called, second.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Mr.
Next
Mayor,
item, yes,
I would like
Alderwoman
to-
Hall.
to move, that this report given to us by Chief Daughtry on the results of the August 15th, 2022 court hearing relative to properties be placed in our minutes.
Okay, the motion has been made. Do I have a second?
I second
I
it,
don't
but
even know what it says.
but I do have a question as well.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving has seconded it, and I'll recognize Alderwoman Irving.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to ask, would this be a continuation of the report coming from your department, Chief?
Johnny Barber.
John Bob report? Because with us transitioning,
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to keep the board informed.
okay, so we look forward to seeing this on a regular.
When they have board, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. That was my
Thank
question.
you. Thank you so much. We'll call for the question.
Called.
Second, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, actually, we've already covered. We will be going into full detail on that in a mandatory work session. Please mark your calendars, Tuesday, September 6th at 10 a.m. And also, please mark your calendars for the public hearing, which will also be on Tuesday, September 6th at 6 p.m. Okay. The city attorney's report, I think we've taken care of most of that under me, and we can now check off some things. American Symphony, we've done that update. We've done everything pertaining to the bonds. I do want to discuss commercial air service with you for a moment. It's exciting that the city and the county, we were successful in getting the grant for the airport to, it's a small community development grant that allows us now to have service between Natchez and Dallas, DFW. Dallas Fort Worth has already made the press announcement, Southern Airways being the carrier. It has not been totally signed here yet, and that's why we haven't actually made that announcement, because there are some other things now that we've got to consider. The money that is going toward that proposal, and which is now a grant, and we have received that, we have been awarded that grant. That grant now takes the money that was dedicated at first for Memphis and New Orleans and puts it to Dallas. We weren't sure we were going to get the grant. It was told to us that it's not common at all for an airport to get that grant on their first try. Well, we got it. So the money that had been pledged now goes to Dallas, can't be used on Memphis or New Orleans. But we are in a good position in that while the city pledged $200,000 and the county pledged $300,000 for a total of $500,000, $300,000 is what the consultant decided to put on the grant. He felt that $300,000 was ample when looking at what was being done around the country in order for us to be competitive on the grant. So we have 200 sitting there, and we are about 200 shy of what's needed to get both New Orleans and Memphis. I would like very much for us not to just have Dallas and then maybe 6 months later we get Memphis and maybe a year later we get New Orleans. I think we'd all agree it'd be ideal if we can get Dallas, Memphis, and New Orleans all at the same time. The good news also is that our airport consultant, Jeremiah Gerald, and also our airport director, Richard Nelson, have indicated that our numbers are so strong on our studies. And we all saw that at the special meeting with the county with 300 people on average. It's actually a little more flying every day, that there's a strong possibility that the money we are putting up, that we're pledging, won't actually be needed because they're starting slow. As Alderman Frazier got them to explain, and he was very knowledgeable of it. They're coming in with the King Air and other planes that are 9-seaters, not actual jets, on the front end, so that they can build that demand and not come in and be too much at once. So I'm suggesting that as we prepare our budget, that we budget another 100,000 from our ARP funds to go toward their service with the request that the county do the same. And then that will allow us to have Memphis and New Orleans along with Dallas. And that doesn't require a motion tonight. I just am asking everyone to consider that, and we'll get more information as we talk to the county, so that when we go forward, the county also will be going forward. I don't want to mislead anyone into thinking that this is all going to happen in October. We were hopeful for October, but now that we got the grant, while it's a great thing, it also complicates things because there are a lot of things that you have to do to be in compliance with the grant. So it delays the process a bit. We're still hopeful that within the last quarter of the year, this will begin. But another thing also to realize is part of the grant is to provide access to an international airport, which Dallas is, and that brings in TSA clearance. And it takes a minimum of 90 days to 180 days to actually get TSA clearance, set up the equipment, the funding, and you actually have a TSA check here.
Wow.
So it's a lot that's being done behind the scenes, but the end result will be that you can go to Natchez Airport, free parking, TSA clearance within 15 minutes, and you're good to go anywhere in the world to your final destination. So we're getting there, but it's taking a little time. So I did want to give that report. Any questions on the commercial air service?
I just want to say.
Yes,
Good things
Alderwoman
happen in small increments and we're making it. So.
I like
good.
the way you put that. That's right. Yes. I don't need any action right now with regard to Jefferson Street. What we have determined, Mr. Dollar's been measuring, and when you put a bus lane in, you've got to make sure you have enough clearance for travel safely. Turns out that both Canal and Jefferson are too narrow for the bus lane. However, because of the recent cleanup and removal of lower canopies of trees at the city auditorium, there's ample room in the driveway for buses if they want to get out of the street to pull into the driveway, let people unload there to visit the monument, and then reload. So we're going to suggest to all the bus drivers that they start using that driveway at the city auditorium.
Great idea.
Okay. So we're actually taking that off. We have already taken care of the water commissioners. We need this. I have had a little peer pressure from my fellow mayors. The Mississippi is actually the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. It is a long-running association that Natchez has always been a part of. And this will be their first in-person conference since before COVID. Mayor George Flaggs asked me while we were at the airport, both of us getting on a plane last Monday going to Atlanta, Mayor Flaggs suggested that I needed to be at that conference. And it just so happens I'd had a meeting that morning with Eric Flaggs. I'm sorry, with Eric Simmons, who is the mayor of Greenville, and he is an officer in the association, and he will be there. And there are 3 major river cities in Mississippi: Natchez, Vicksburg, and Greenville. And I've been told that I better be there.
Right.
So I need, not that I have
Second.
time. All right. So
And if it's okay, you
motion
be
has
there.
been made by Alderwoman
Second.
Hall, seconded by
Been there.
Alderwoman Irving. Any discussion? I will tell you this, I'm taking a later flight so that I can still be here for our board meeting on the morning of the 13th. Just letting y'all know, but expect that to be a fast board meeting. We'll call for the question.
Hold.
Second,
Second.
we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. I will say this, we will be discussing grants. There are some valuable topics to be discussed, and we'll make the most of that time. The miscellaneous updates, all I would say there is an update on an excellent visit last week by congressional staffers from Washington, D.C., and also staffer from the governor's office. And we were able to visit all of the important sites around the city and the county, everything from Forks in the Road to the port, to the Grand Village, to Silver Street, and Morgantown Road and Jefferson College, and just so many things, discussing everything from drainage to air service.
Did y'all get to Concord drainage?
And we did discuss Concord drainage. And what we are all waiting on, because most of this is all on the federal level, is for our major study to be ready for them to pursue funding for a second run at a Natchez drainage project, federally funded. We hope that project, that the initial reports will be done by our engineers by November. And this also was discussed recently with the director. Very good meeting we had with Dr. Trina George, who is the state director for USDA. And her office is also pledged to help us. So a lot of things, a lot of moving parts. And I also need to report, it was a very successful trip to Atlanta. I thank you for authorizing my attendance there to represent the city with the Consul General from the nation of India. While I was there, I was able to meet the Consul Generals from Belgium and also Nigeria. And while I was there with quite a number of public officials from all across the region, including many from the states of Georgia and North Carolina and Alabama, Tennessee. I will say I was the only public official. We were the only city represented from Mississippi. And we were actually given a place of honor right on the very front next to the Consul General. She showed us a lot of hospitality. We discussed now the need to get her back here. We discussed tourism. We discussed help with our medical needs and our shortage of doctors. And we also talked about building, again, an industry linkage between Mississippi and India, and hoping that in the future and perhaps in the spring, we can participate in a trade mission trip to India. So there you have it. We'll now, we're at the end, but the attorney has promised me this will only take a minute. He needs an executive session to discuss a litigation matter that needs an immediate answer. And that is the only item that will be discussed.
I think I have one that maybe would fall under contracts. And it has to do with the fire protection agreement that we have with Adams County.
Would you like to
The
add
mayor
that?
want to consider that if you think it's worthy of that. If you're not, we can talk publicly.
We can add that to the discussion. It won't take long.
Negotiations
The- It's the
lose our
negotiation.
positioning and our power if we discuss those in public right now.
That would, it certainly could, but I don't think that.
Is it a matter to be discussed in executive session?
We can, Mr. Mayor. I think.
Well, let's add it.
We can do that. I can make a 2-second
Okay,
comment.
an open determination is that we are going to discuss a matter pertaining to litigation and a matter pertaining to a contract that the city is negotiating with the county but it is contractual in nature and subject.
It's negotiations and
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Attorney, does all of that meet muster in your legal opinion?
I believe the first one involves litigation and prospective litigation and settlement negotiations. That definitely fits. And the other one is negotiating a contract in which we may lose some of our positioning power if we divulge those public. So
Okay.
for now, yes, if we
All
go
right.
back there and it's something different, we'll stop.
Okay, so that is the open determination. I will now entertain a motion to go into executive session for those reasons.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Dillard, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Any discussion on the motion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. We will record the time when we enter the meeting, and then we'll record the time when we come in here and adjourn the meeting. now entertain a motion to adjourn the executive session and return to regular session.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderman Frazier. Any discussion on the motion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. We're back in session, and the report is that we discussed a matter of litigation involving a possible settlement that needed to be discussed privately. No action was taken. We also had discussion on a contract that the city is involved in that pertains to an interlocal agreement. We did not take any action. And so now I will ask, there is a motion, however, I think we need to entertain, or do we, Mr. Attorney? With
At this point,
regard to-
I would like to go into discussions and have the board affirm a settlement if I'm able to reach one through negotiation.
Okay, so we haven't gotten to that point yet. So the litigation matter will continue, but hopefully we will come to some settlements. Okay, I want to say, people may say, wow, the city, they met for almost 4 hours. What's wrong? I want to just say, well, what's right? We're working hard. And if people will just look at what we accomplished, multiple projects, many improvements for the city, and we all did it unanimously. We may disagree here and there may have been a vote here or there today that wasn't 100% unanimous, but I would say 99%, and I'll take 99% any day of the week. Thank you for your patience and endurance tonight. Well, it's been a good meeting. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Anyone opposed to that motion? If you're opposed to it, have a good night. We're going home.